With that in mind, let's open this Conservation Commission meeting. It is June 9th, 2016. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Anyone have any changes to the agenda?
Nope.
Could accept a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have 3 minutes. Do we have any accounts payable?
Yep.
Is that this one, the big one?
Yeah, there's a handful in there.
Okay.
One is for geosyntax, one is to, I got some plans scanned, and that was a bill, and then I bought some waders to go out, not waders, rubber boots to go out on my stream walk.
No readers, huh?
They didn't have any. Bought them the day before.
All right, well, let's definitely do, so looks like funding for the pond survey is in at $86,000 for an $83,000 survey, so everything's good. She's including the general raise article in 2016 of $8,032. Wasn't that what she came to us and said that we didn't have enough money?
Yeah, when we corrected her cousin. There was 10,000 there, 20,000. I'm not exactly sure how she did that. But
She's rather confident that it's fine and there's money to spare, so.
Well, with that in mind, and since everyone has expressed their acceptance of the comments from Geosyntec, I would accept a motion to pay the final $16,604.27 for our pond assessment.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
have they given us any hard copies of the final report?
No, and I'm gonna, make sure that we have a hard copy before the check goes in the mail.
All right, as we keep going, Brian's mileage adds up to a total of 143 miles at 0.54 cents per mile is $77.22. Does anyone want to dig into his mileage?
What's the
Since
amount?
January.
143 miles at 0.54 cents per mile. From January 1st to July 9th.
We got things to do.
Since George has let it go, I would accept a motion to approve $77.22.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. We have an invoice for $11.38 for blueprints scanned in. What site was that?
That was the conservation restriction. I needed to get the plans to the lawyers.
Excellent. Oh, for Ranger?
Sandy Pond 3.
Right, Sandy Pond 3.
Ranger.
Excellent. It's $11.38 to J&S Business Products on 17 Main Street in Ayer. I would accept a motion to pay $11.38.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. And then there are the three here, and this is from Lagus for the boots.
Yeah,
Boots.
I was busy spending a lot of money.
$107.94 for boots, which I assume are upstairs.
Yeah.
Accept the motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Not funny boots have laces at the top. That's something new to me.
Fine, because otherwise they'd be very loose.
Yeah, those are the ones that needs to go.
Oh, the water.
Okay.
Anyway.
So we had accounts payable. We'll come back to meeting minutes. It is 7:15. Let's open the notice of intent for Ridgeview Heights Phase 5 Woodland Way infrastructure installation. Good evening, Mr. Mullany.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'm Steve Mullany from S.J. Mullany Engineering here on behalf of the owners, Ridgeview Realty Trust. And I begin by giving you the certificates of mailing and the notification to the abutters.
Did you happen to get a DEP file number?
No, I checked again on the website today and there was no one assigned yet. I think it's going to be, what was the last one, 389?
Probably 390.
Probably be 390, but I'm hoping to. Just to recap, I think the commission is somewhat familiar with this site, but the property is located in the eastern part of Ayer, on the westerly side of Pingree Hill, north of Littleton Road, south of what was the B&M is now the Pan Am Railways. It is the area that is the fifth and final area of the Pingree Hill Ridgeview Heights project yet to be developed. About a year and a half ago, the commission approved an order of resource area delineation for this property, and everything you see highlighted in green on each of these plan sheets in the light green color is the wetland area. So we walked the site, we made a few changes to the flags along the way. Daisheng Wang came out, took some more soil samples, we did a few more changes, and you issued that ORAD. So over the last year plus, the redesign of the project. To step back a bit, the property has been in the works of development since 1997. Wetlands were originally delineated on this property at that time, and the Conservation Commission issued a determination of applicability in 1998, establishing the wetland line. That enabled the first round of design, which produced what you see at the top here. This is the intersection of Hemlock Drive and Hickory Way, both existing paved roads with houses on them. And the original Woodland Way, as conceived back in the late 90s, was one big loop with 33 lots on it. That was submitted to the Planning Board in 1999 and to the Commission in 2000. The Planning Board process ended up going to court. The Planning Board ultimately approved and endorsed the subdivision in 2004. The notice of intent before the Conservation Commission likewise was appealed, went through DEP superseding order of conditions, which was also issued in 2004. Then the developers ran into some financing issues, and by the time they were ready to get going in 2007, they didn't have the means to do it financially, and so new owners came in and took over the project. Originally it was Crabtree Development Corporation. It then became a different entity, Crabtree Development LLC, with different owners, different partners that actually undertook the construction of the overall project beginning in 2007. The interesting thing that happened over the course of that time was it was discovered that the original wetland delineation from 1997, which was done in December and January time of year, in a very wet period, not a snowy period, was not accurate. And it was discovered that, in particular, in this phase, there was a large area of wetland that previously had not been identified. As a result, a project that had no wetland alterations at all, suddenly in this phase alone had, if I get this number correct here, 1.6 acres of alteration in wetlands, which was unacceptable. So, in 2007, when the original superseding order of conditions from DEP was up for renewal, thinking caps were put on to see how can we reduce the wetland alterations without moving the road alignment. And it was possible to reduce it down to about 1/3 of an acre. And DEP at the time said, well, you've worked at it. However, this is the end of 2007, and we're introducing new DEP stormwater standards beginning of 2008. So DEP declined to extend that superseding order. It expired. The developers went on to build the rest of the project and then came back and said, oh, we still have one more phase to build here. We're going to have to put our thinking caps back on. So I told the developers, well, the first step is redelineate the wetlands once again, just so that everybody's on the same page and we're working around the constraints that everyone agrees upon. That's what brought us to that NRAD process.
Was that 14 or was that?
It was the end of 14, yeah, November 14, I think, when the ORAD was issued. So the design that has been developed, you see before and after, and I'm going to show you it on a larger view, basically brings Woodland Way and has it circle back onto itself, and then makes a little short extension of Hemlock Drive ending in a cul-de-sac. So it avoids that big wetland crossing that was there. This little wetland crossing that's there, that still remains, but the total wetland alteration is now reduced down to 3,000 square feet, which is below the 5,000 square foot threshold that would trigger a 401 filing, provided we were to submit a restriction. And we provided in our submittal materials a draft restriction that would limit the total amount of alteration of this subdivision to 5,000 square feet. The project previously, to give you some background, involved a number of individual lots that were going to require notices of intent, as well as the infrastructure itself. Same situation under the new design. In this case, we've determined of the 36 lots, half of the lots are outside commission jurisdiction, outside of wetlands and buffer zones. Among the other half, 3 of them we believe will require a request for determination of applicability because the work is limited to the outer 50 feet of wetland buffer zone and is simply some grading, some side slope grading. 5 of the lots have active orders of conditions that were most recently renewed by the commission a year ago. They'll require amended orders of conditions to reflect some subtle shifts in lot lines and some subtle shifts in house locations. And then another 10 will require individual notices of intent. We intend to pursue that after we complete this infrastructure notice of intent process with the commission. For the site as a whole, this entire phase, in and out of commission jurisdiction, we're talking about 27 acres of site work. And of that total, about 6 acres of it will be impervious at the end of the day, and the remainder will be vegetated. The infrastructure work, which is the reason we're here today, involves about a total of 15 acres of alterations, and of that, just under 6 acres is within the 100-foot buffer zone. And the work is generally associated with limited amounts of pavement in 2 areas of the roadway, side slope grading, but it's largely stormwater basins, infiltration and sediment forebay basins. In total, the project is proposing 20 stormwater basins, grassed basins, distributed throughout the site so that it's not a concentrated catch-all at the bottom, but it tries to mimic what the existing watershed has for characteristics. To the extent possible, low-impact development measures have been instituted. Grading has been minimized. Each proposed house is set at the minimum setback from the street, which minimizes the length of driveways, therefore minimizing the amount of pavement on any given lot. Roof drip line recharge trenches are designed to capture the roof runoff and infiltrate it directly into the yards. We mentioned the wetland alteration area over here is 3,000 square feet. This green area right here is where we're proposing the replication area. We're proposing 2-to-1, a 6,000 square foot replication area. It's about 250 feet away from the alteration area. It's along the same wetland system, and it's down gradient, so it's an area that's already being fed by the same watershed area.
Could you say those numbers one more time?
Sure, it's 3,000 square feet of alteration, Jess, and 6,000 square feet of replication. They're in very similar areas. The existing cross slope is about 8% in each area. We've also minimized the street impact itself. I mentioned the driveways on the lots, but the street is a 60-foot right-of-way, and under the Ayer subdivision regulations, a 60-foot right-of-way requires a 40-foot pavement width plus a 4-foot sidewalk on each side. We've negotiated with the planning board a waiver to reduce the pavement width to 24 feet with 1 4-foot sidewalk on one side of the road. The site has the traditional catch basin to manhole street drainage design required by the Ayer subdivision regulations. Catch basins on either side of the road scattered at about 200 to 300 foot intervals around the roadway system. And it's all included in the 300-page drainage report, which we were happy we only had to send you in electronic form, but if you need paper copies, we can supply you that as well. We did look at alternatives to filling the wetland for the roadway crossing. Among them were if we were to put in a bridge or using retaining walls. The cost is dramatically increased for each of those options. Plus, they are more likely to require long-term maintenance as opposed to burying a culvert. And maintaining those structures over time would potentially cause more impact to the wetlands during the maintenance periods. Plus, they can introduce shading impacts on the remainder of the wetland system. The other alternatives we considered were if we were to simply bring the roadway in and end in a cul-de-sac on either side of the wetland, we would be greatly exceeding the 500-foot maximum dead-end road length that the Ayer subdivision regulations allow. And when we approached the Ayer Planning Board on that regarding this overall project, they declined to entertain anything longer than what their standard is. And there's also a necessity to have through access from a water standpoint, because as you're aware, there's an existing 1 million gallon water tank that was just built atop Pingree Hill that is accessed through this roadway system. The looped roadway provides looped access to it from a physical standpoint and also for a looped water distribution system. I mentioned the 2008 stormwater standards from DEP. In 2012, the EPA, through their construction general permit process under the NIPDES program, introduced new requirements as well for work near wetland areas. In particular, where a 50-foot buffer is not left adjacent to wetlands, or work is closer to that, additional erosion controls must be provided and calculations to demonstrate their viability. We've included those calculations in our submittal. And in a nutshell, what it is wherever work is proposed less than 50 feet to the wetland area, a double row of erosion control barriers is required, spaced 5 feet apart. Ten of the 20 basins are proposed to have a limited amount of fencing. This is a requirement that the planning board had imposed on the overall subdivision, and it's generally wherever one of the stormwater basins is relatively close to a proposed home. The side of the basin nearest the home is to be fenced with either a black vinyl chain link fence or thorny shrubs such as Rosa rugosa spaced at like 3 foot spacing to form a dense continuous hedge. One thing we've introduced into this plan set that wasn't shown on the previous phases is we show both an interim or intermediate erosion control barrier line and an ultimate erosion control barrier line. What that means is the ultimate line shows that for the total build out of everything, including the lots and the infrastructure, this is where the boundary has to be, for example. But if we're just building the infrastructure, you still need some controls, maybe not at the foot of the lot, but you're going to need them at the foot of the roadway work. So we're showing that line as well on the plans. And as with the previous phases, there are several sheets of construction details towards the end of your plan set, beginning on page 21, where we spell out erosion controls, long-term maintenance of the stormwater system, operations and management, as well as provide construction details for the various elements such as hay bales, silt fence, temporary construction entrance. This particular subdivision is regulated by the planning board's decision from years ago that requires the basins to be ultimately maintained by the Pingree Hill Homeowners Association. So in that sense, while street acceptance of the roads and the catch basins and pipes and so forth right in the roads themselves, those would become the responsibility of the town. Ultimately, the off-road basins would still be the responsibility of the Homeowners Association. However, DPW Superintendent Mark Wetzel is looking into seeing if there's a way of modifying that. He would prefer to have control over the maintenance of the basins. That way, he's not chasing down various homeowners associations around town for the maintenance. He would control it, but he would be seeking a funding mechanism from these associations to pay for it going forward. So that we understand that is in the works. We also provide details for the wetland replication area on, I believe it's sheet 22 of your plan set. And then it goes on to additional sheets that provide landscaping and excavation and fill sequence details, stormwater drainage, sanitary sewer details as well. The final sheets of the plan set show the drainage of catchment areas, pre-development and post-development. And the post-development also doubles as an erosion control plan in that it provides to the contractor the drainage divides so they know what is contributing to a particular area, and it provides proposed locations for small temporary settling basins and stockpiles within each of those areas. And we've also shown them for each lot what would be the appropriate place to put those features. And that's on your last sheet of your plan set. So we're happy to entertain any questions the commission or the audience has.
Any questions, James? Actually,
But writer's block.
Steve, you mentioned, so with respect to the water detention basins, there are two alternatives. One is a fence, like a black chain link fence, or
it was a densely planted thorny shrub, such as a Rosa rugosa, planted at 3 foot on the center.
okay. So it's an alternative, having a shrub
Exactly.
based barrier.
And I think elsewhere in the project, we've seen both done, and the Snake Hill Road area, I think that's where the fences were done. You recall that along the basin in the back there?
I think so.
Some of those lines there.
no, I think that's where the fences were. Anything else, Bonnie?
No.
All right. Going with the environment, was it environment 1? Grinder
Yes.
pumps again?
Yes.
So you're lower here?
Yes, we're lower here. Elevationally, I'll swing here so the audience can see as well. Top of Pingree Hill is here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything flows down from here, and our sewer connection is here. So from about this area to here, from about here to here, and from about there to there is gravity, and the rest will be low pressure sewer. So it's about half and half of the lots.
Okay. I see the, I'm identifying it as 75A. It's that back corner.
Yes, right here.
Okay. So that house is way back?
That house is way back. The driveway on this lot doubles as both an access to the stormwater basin to the rear and access to the house.
So am I misunderstanding it that the driveway is in the wetland?
No, that driveway is not in the wetland. There's a little finger of wetland right here, and there's a little finger of wetland right here. This is upland in between the two where the driveway is going through.
Okay. Sorry, I was misunderstanding the colors.
That's
Okay. Have you had a chance to stake the roadway?
We have not staked the roadway.
Okay. So it probably wouldn't be ready for a walk on, say, Saturday?
No.
Okay.
We wanted to see what you were looking for, whether you wanted the roadway stake, whether you wanted the basin stake, or both, or how you wanted us to handle it.
Well,
We have the flags out there, we know that, so we can pace off with flags to see certain features.
how many basins did you say there were again?
20 in total.
That's a lot of basins.
Well, some of them are right adjacent to each other. For example, we have a 4-bay feeding into a recharge basin.
Well, I think if nothing else, we'd probably at least want to see, so if you were going to have a head wall, we'd at least want to see where the structure started so it would give us the feel for where the basin began. And I think based on past walks, if we have the center of the road, we at least know what that initial work is.
Sure.
And then I think based on past experience, we really have to talk about, whether it's during that walk or afterwards, the order of operations. Remember the trouble we got into last time, and I understood it at the time to be a bank instrument issue, where the bank required the paving to pay the next pile of money, but the soil was not protected. Remember all the runoff we had on Hemlock? And especially here where everything, if it's all going downhill, and that's quite a system at the bottom of the hill, I think we just need to talk about what that process is going to be to make sure we stay on track this time. I'm looking at sheet 11. Is it really a 40-foot elevation drop?
Yes, there is.
And then it keeps going?
Yep.
So 320 to 280. Actually, 350 if I get all the way to page 28. Where's that? Where's that high point at
The high point-
340 something?
is right there.
Right there? Okay. And then it's a 40-foot drop to the very back.
Yeah, your low point is diametrically opposite. Maximum road grade is less than 10%. I think 9.14% is the maximum.
Is any of this area cleared at this time, other than, I know the roadway to the tank?
Yeah, this is the only area that's cleared so far, this section.
Okay. So the rest of it is hiking through the woods?
Well, it's hiking through the woods, however, there had been borings done on the original roadway location. So, up until this point, this is where the alteration begins in the layout. And it's really not that much different getting up to here. So I would say all the way up to about here, there's a pretty well-defined pathway still there. Beyond that, it'll be hiking through the woods.
All right. One more shot. You have anything?
A couple.
I thought you did. Go ahead.
I'm new at this, so many questions, sorry. And some of them may, hopefully will be appropriate. So the first phase is building the road, the entire loop,
The infrastructure.
the infrastructure.
And the way our plans direct it, you build from the downstream end up.
That's what I was gonna ask next.
We spell it right out on our plans, whether contractors comply with that.
Could,
It's very frustrating, but that's the way it's gotta be. You have to have those basins established at the bottom because they serve as temporary sediment basins during the rest of the construction, and then ultimately they serve the final product.
yeah.
So to your point, Bonnie, that's one of the problems we had on some of the other roadways, where the problem was that the paving went in before the grass took.
Yeah.
And it was a real mess down the bottom of the hill. And unfortunately, the bottom of the hill was Route 2A,
Yep.
so it was even worse.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we would definitely want to avoid that in this case.
And the
Okay.
site contractor has not been selected yet. Powell Construction did the first 4 phases of Henry Hill, but Ridgeview Realty Trust is going out to bid, and there have been at least 2 different bidders so far that I'm aware of, but they haven't selected anyone.
Okay. And then second question is, so I kind of understand how the first part of Penguin Hill was developed in terms of tree cutting. Will this be a little bit different in
This-
terms of tree cutting?
We have a very defined, I'll bring it closer to you so you can see it. We have a very defined limit of clearing line. The limit of clearing line in general is either this heavy black line, which is also the erosion control line, or the double erosion control line where we're within 50 feet of wetlands. Elsewhere, it's this dotted line. So we are limiting the clearing to what is the minimum necessary to create the grading necessary for the individual house lots or the infrastructure, and a reasonable small amount of yard area, maybe about 25 feet to the rear of the homes. In general, Rick Roper, one of the principals of Ridgeview, does not like clear cutting. He likes to preserve specimen trees where he can. In some phases of Ridgeview, he was able to, and in others, just because of the massive grade changes, like on Hickory and Hemlock coming up from Milton Road, he wasn't able to.
Do you have a schedule for the project at this time?
This has also been submitted simultaneously to the planning board, and I believe I saw our new chairman of the planning board, Jim Fay, in the background, and I believe our hearing is July 7th.
That's correct.
So it's really ping pong back and forth between you two boards, so we don't have a set time.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add? Okay. Any comments from the audience? Mr. Fay, are you here for this application?
Not directly, no.
Okay. So, Steve, so you wouldn't be ready for the 11th?
No, we need time to get the surveyors to state what you need to say.
Okay. The reason I asked about your schedule is the 18th doesn't work for me personally. It might have worked for others, but I would like to be on the walk if possible, and the next possible time for me would be the 25th.
That would be fine, because again, we're not going to be in front of the planning board until July 7th anyway, so.
Okay.
that'll be fine.
Can folks make the 25th? Okay. So why don't we say 9 o'clock on the 25th? And should we meet up at the top where Hemlock meets Hickory?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So Hemlock at Hickory on June 25th at 9 a.m. All right.
Question for you. Now that we have a town engineer, is the drainage review and the technical review being done in-house, or do we know if your board or planning board intends to send it out to an outside consultant?
Well, in this particular case, I would like to talk to Mr. Wetzel and ask him, only in that we have, where we have such an extensive roadway for here. And in the past, we had sent it to Tate and Howard. So I guess I'd like to hear from the town engineer. While I assume that the point of a town engineer is to decrease the cost to the town for consultants, it's also sometimes necessary for big projects to be handled by somebody who has the time to do them. So we'll have to reach out to Mr. Wetzel and find out.
Thank you.
Should know on the. So our next hearing is the 23rd. I'm assuming we don't need to meet with you then.
Correct.
Okay. So we would continue this hearing to the July 14th, and we should have an answer by then for sure.
Yeah, and we'll have some feedback from planning board at that point too, so if there are changes we need to start working on among the two boards, we'll be in a better position.
That sounds perfect. Okay. If there's nothing else, anything further from the audience? I would accept a motion to continue this public hearing to July 14th, 2016, with a site walk occurring on June 25th.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, Mr. Mulaney.
Thank you for your time.
See you on Saturday,
The 25th.
the 25th. All right. Actually did pretty well. Okay. As Mr. Mulaney collects his materials, let's reopen our public hearing for DEP file number 100-0388, terminus of, Riley Jane Farms. Oh, you're absolutely right. I read the wrong one. 0389.
I was finally happy that I got ahead of Rose with that. I thought you would have taken her away from me.
You're gonna be faster.
Yeah. For the record, my name is Nick Paulin, Gilson Christopher Ringwald. Nice to see everyone again. Just a quick update on everything that's happened. We opened the hearing at the beginning of May. Had a site walk on the 25th and 26th of May. And this is a meeting since then. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I saw you in the field. When we were in the field, I discussed some of the revisions that we made and submitted to the planning board. Specifically, the revisions we mentioned during our initial meeting with you. The ones that really affected you as far as impervious surfaces was the removal of the landscape island in the center of the proposed Trevor Trail cul-de-sac, and the realignment of the driveway on lot 16. If you remember, that driveway used to come to Pleasant Street, and at its closest point was 5 feet from the wetland edge. We were able to rotate the house, keep the same limits of clearing, and have the driveway go to Trevor Trail rather than Pleasant Street, which removed all the work from the 25-foot buffer. At the site walk, There was some discussion that the commission was looking for a little bit more expanded information regarding the dewatering procedures, specifically at the sewer connection in the rear of the property on lot 10. I emailed, I don't know if you were able to get paper copies, but I emailed, did you get paper copies? No.
I mean, I didn't print them out.
Emailed 11 by 17 showing kind of some dewatering notes, clear direction, as well as some direction that if the contractor did not want to follow this, that he had to submit a clear and concise plan of action for what he actually wanted to do. Knowing that this is the first time he's seeing it, what we're proposing in it, again, it's just a blow up of the sewer connection area itself. As this is proposed, would be the use of sandbags around the existing structure and a pump to a dewatering, or as like people like to call them, dirt bags. A little bit up gradient to lower the water, connect the new service to the existing manhole, tidy everything back up, get it inspected, and backfill it and shut the pumps off. There's also some notes on here talking about how these general procedures, if dewatering is needed elsewhere on the property, which we're not anticipating, the same general outline of procedures should be followed. I think, also since the last time we met, we did get a file number from the DEP. They had some minor questions, which we addressed. They had some confusion about the numbers that we stated in our narrative versus our wetlands NOI actual form. That was the difference, is that we went in detail about the wetlands disturbance to construct the driveway to lot 1 and 2, whereas kind of glossed over the wetlands disturbed for the utility connections of the water main from Nashua, the abutting Nashua Street project, as well as the sewer connection. With that, the planning board voted to approve the project last Thursday. The decision needed to be tweaked a little bit, so I'm under the impression that that's going to be signed on the 7th, but the hearing is closed as far as we know. I don't know I think that's all of the outstanding comments that at least I know of, but I can certainly try to answer any other questions that you might have or that you've thought of since the last time we met.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
Jess, did you have anything from your notes that were missing?
Nope.
Okay. So as folks should know, the site walk was a success. We were able to see all the elements of the walk that we were looking for. I think the only place we ran into any trouble was discerning that road back to lot 9. Remember when we were walking through the woods there, we knew the general area.
We knew the driveway with the house locations.
Yeah. But otherwise, we were able to physically go to every spot that we needed to go to definitively. I don't recall there being any issues. As you discussed, the greatest concern we had was the dewatering, since obviously the area where the manhole has to be accessed is completely submerged. So more on that in the next application. I think that was everything. Did you have anything further from the sidewalk, Jess?
No.
George? Takashi?
So one, I guess, clarification question. The DEP's comments about the area of wetland disturbance. So what was the answer specifically?
So in the narrative, the paragraph is at the bottom of the page, and where I start talking about how we're disturbing 600 and some odd square feet to construct the driveway, the common driveway, to service lot 1 and 2. Then go into how we're proposing 730 of replication further down the driveway.
Right.
What his comment was is if you look at the Form 3, and it talks about wetland alteration, I have a number there of 3,024 square feet, I believe.
3,043.
Yeah. So the 643 is from the 1 and 2 driveway. 2,000 is actually from the water line crossing, and then another 600 is for the 400 is for the sewer connection itself. Because those are limited projects, I made a statement in the narrative talking about how during the site walk, we would generally try to discern if that was the best possible route, which I believe during the site walk we did do, so that those numbers were relatively approximate. However, those being utility connections qualifying as limited projects, they're the type that the topsoil will be removed and stockpiled, utility put in, returned to existing grade, and then the stockpiled material put back. As Mr. Daniels said in the last meeting, more of a one and done type situation, disturb and get out of it and let it go back.
Right.
So there was some little confusion there.
Right, because in both cases, both the water main and the sewer main, once they're in place, there's no need to return, there's no maintenance, there's nothing that happens.
Especially with the water line and the sewer,
Right.
you know.
Sewer, there's access to the structure itself, but
Correct.
there's no maintenance on the line itself.
Correct.
Okay. About the only thing that we would, you luckily don't have the kind of slopes. So in the application we were just discussing, one of the issues that came up on Ridgeview was Hickory comes down at a really steep pitch. And they had to cut the road in, and so it was a steep pitch to both sides. And so in those cases, they had an awful lot of material that was displaced every time it rained. So, excuse me. I guess one of the things that we probably just want to make sure that we were on top of is barriers, especially during the start of construction. And then obviously Brian will be out to do an inspection after they're in place. And then, as is our want, every now and then we'll wander back to just make sure that the barriers are doing their job, because obviously everything on the lot pitches down toward the wetland resource on the back. So at least everything in the middle anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I think from our standpoint, the wetlands are properly located. The house plans, the houses that we walked were in the appropriate spots. We didn't have any issues with the work that you were planning to do for the basin on lots 1 and 2, the primary basin and the teardrop, and we were able to get all the way down to the sewer, so that was fine. I don't think we had anything further. Anyone have any questions at all? Sir?
Nick, did you get a reply from Natural Heritage?
Indirectly, we actually got an email back.
Okay. No letter?
No letter. The email actually stated that it does not occur within the habitat.
Okay.
So I believe they're taking the route of either we're not doing any work in it, or there might have been enough leeway to say that the line actually clips the corner. It doesn't come, 30 feet on to the property as we're showing it as a worst case scenario.
Would you be so kind as to forward that to Brian for the record?
You got it.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
And if not, he does now.
If not, I'll forward. Are you a Concom?
Yeah.
I'll forward it to him tomorrow. Yes.
Just in case.
Yeah.
I'm on it. I don't recognize it, but I'm on it.
It happened a while ago, May 10th. So
All right.
I don't remember last week myself.
Is there any feedback from the audience members? I'm trying to figure out, Mr. Fay, which application we're here to talk to you about tonight.
Bearmark, I believe is the address.
Okay, that's farther up in the
Uh,
meeting.
One, just a follow-up comment, it's an administrative in nature with the signing of the certificate for Riley Jane, and that'll be done, as Nick said, on the 7th. I don't see any problem with that.
Thank you very much. Okay. So if there's nothing further and there are no other comments,
Just keep going.
then I would accept a motion.
Wait, oh, well, so wait, what do we,
Do you have
what's the next set of, I might have some questions. So I have a little bit of an issue. And the issue is that 3 houses, lot 13, lot 16, and lot 9, well, maybe not, especially lot 13 and 16 are in the buffer.
Mhm.
In that area, during the site walk, it was very wet,
Mhm.
even though it's outside the wetland, the buffer. And my question is, the possibility of the wetlands changing, right? And the buffer creeping closer and closer to the backs of those houses? Is that gonna be an issue down the road?
Well, wetland lines change.
They do?
They grow and they shrink all
Yep.
the time.
Yep.
As I mentioned, one of the items in this project is replacing the existing 12-inch pipe under the existing driveway with a new 15-inch pipe.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the planning board or this board, but truthfully, that 15-inch pipe in that pocket wetland to the right as we're looking at it, we believe is actually kind of created by kind of the plowing activities that happening down Pleasant Street, and then that's the natural kind of low spot. So over time, a lot of silt and sediment have come in and blocked up that pipe, creating that wetland. When we build the road, what we're going to do is actually increase that available pipe size, but we're also going to be removing that plowing activity, because now there'll be a road and they'll allow to continue, and there'll be curves and proper drainage and things like that. So truthfully, in that area, I actually think the buffer zone will be receding from the houses, not moving towards them.
That's specific to 16 for sure.
Correct,
But-
and,
But to 13?
No, I
You think to 13?
one at a time.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
16 and 8, yep, okay.
13, really, there is a lot of undulations with a lot of rain previous to our site walk. I can't really. 16, I think, is going to be receding. 13, I don't see any reasons why it would grow. If you look around, as it comes from the abutting property, it actually narrows down into low pass and channels and things like that that are natural. If trees have fallen or something. As you might remember, when we went down to the sewer, there was a very nice new sculpture by a beaver. So there are beavers in the areas that may be falling and things. That might be something that the homeowners might, be a little bit more cognizant of a tree falling around them. And then you said lot 9. Lot 9 is actually at the top of the hill. It's the most defined hill of the property. So as far as wetlands kind of starting to creep up there, I also don't think that's too big of a concern. I won't say concern, sorry, I chose the word, issue, possibility. Help me out.
Issue.
So I see where you're coming from on,
The likelihood
I don't
is
see it to be
is
likely. There we go.
implausible.
That's a good, thank you.
I see where you're coming from on 16.
Bringing up the
But
authorities for you
16,
next
I feel
time.
comfortable, so would you be so kind as to point to the area, the gray area up on the map?
16?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. This is the bulb that I'm talking about that I think will actually reduce. If you notice, this is where the wetland's being fed, which is a very clear, narrow channel. And then as it flattens out is where it really widens. What you'll also notice it's a little bit harder to see is as this wetland area drains to that existing pipe, there's actually another very clear, defined channel. So we think that originally that was kind of the way the wetlands originally looked as the natural flow path, and as this stopped up, water came up, and more vegetation type wetlands rather than when you get down into this area, it's vegetation as well as hydric soils.
thank you. My intent there was so we walked this 2 years ago for the ANRAD when we did the original delineation.
Right.
And so we spent an awful lot of time here, and so I know our walk the other day wasn't as extensive, but we spent an awful lot of time on this the first time, and it's pretty clear that that original wetland, in fact, we took advantage at the time of walking up onto the Nashua Street extension and finding the pipes that are the beginning of the channel that Nick spoke of, which we're honestly not sure where they go, but they come off of one of the other streets, and those two pipes are what feed that wetland, which are then what go through the culvert, which goes under the road, which goes across the street. So it made a lot of sense to us that repairs to the roadway would decrease that wetland area from a case of it probably formed for that simple reason that it got blocked up. The wetland behind, which is where the lot known as lot 13 is, that house is up at the front edge of the buffer. You may be able to see it better on sheet 5.2. And you can see that that house is up at the very edge of the 100-foot buffer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm assuming that your concern is with respect to the house. And so in this particular case, their backyard may become more wet, but I think it's a good distance from the house. You're looking at least 50 feet to the house, so.
Right. Okay.
Did you have any other thoughts?
I'm okay for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah? Okay. Well, the reason I asked if you had any other thoughts is because okay for now is the part where we talk about closing the hearing because we don't have anything further to go with. So, last chance.
Order of conditions?
That we're gonna work those up in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'll put together something a little appropriate, and then you want to see it, and we can back and forth about any disagreements, and then I'll bring you guys the hashed out one.
That would be perfect.
Sure, I think that there wasn't too many, special conditions that we've really talked about, so, I think it should look pretty
Yeah,
good.
but I changed the boilerplate.
All right, we want to see it.
I think the biggest information that we'll be referencing in the special conditions would be with regard to the sewer and the water main, as far as dewatering and protection of those areas. Do you have a thought process as to schedule? Are those going to be first? Are those going to be integrated?
I really don't know. From a developer standpoint, if he was going to phase the development, it would make sense to build Pleasant Street and leave Trevor to last. However, from a utility standpoint, I'm sure Mr. Wetzel will want that loop done that goes down Trevor Trail as soon as possible. So we're not sure really. It's due to interest in the lots, whether or not they would do it all at once or phased. That's also kind of why we designed Trevor to kind of be its own standalone drainage system, high point in the middle, so that if it did go second, it wouldn't be needed to support Pleasant.
Okay. We'll probably just reach out to Mr. Wetzel and find out if he has other thoughts before we get too far.
I know Pleasant Street water line is starting relatively soon. The pre-construction meeting was today, so.
Excellent. All right, then I'll make sure, any comments from the audience before we move on? Okay. Then at this point, I would accept a motion to issue order of conditions to be completed for DEP file number 100-0389.
Second?
Any further discussion?
He's looking at you. Yeah, one more thing. I'm sorry, I've forgotten. On page C9.1, there is a list of food. Additional species of trees.
Book, did you buy it yet?
I'm going to, yes.
You want me to use that?
No, that's, yeah,
Draw up a special?
fine.
What specific thoughts did you have?
I know these probably are fast growing, but it would be nice to have more sort of a native mix of trees that are,
So, if I could talk about that, there's 4 types that are
Right.
proposed.
right,
The red maples are proposed within the teardrop wetland just because it's going to get wet and they do well.
right,
All the flowering cherries actually were in the island of Trevor Trail.
uh-huh,
Those were removed and actually repositioned on lot 3 at the intersection
uh-huh,
of Trevor and Pleasant
Uh-huh.
to kind of screen the existing dwelling. The other 2, I'm not an arborist. I'm pretty impressed that I remember those 2. Tell you the truth. The other 2 do well adjacent to trees.
yeah, linden, I don't know, I don't like, it's
No.
just, everybody uses linden, and it's redundant, it doesn't add any,
Well, if it's any consolation, we did alternate as we went down the road.
and a lot of times they don't survive. They don't survive sometimes.
Well, we would have to run it by the planning board as an alternative when we get to construction, based on when we go to buy the trees to have them planted. If you wanted to be so kind as to suggest a number of trees and those are the ones that are available, we might be able to talk with the planning board to say we'd like to swap this one out of that one.
How many are you gonna put in? What's on the?
I think it said
there's
6.
16 something total. And it's like 9 and 7 or something
I
like that.
couldn't, is that an 8 or a 9?
It's-
8.
It's in the mid-teens. Let's just
Yeah,
leave it at
it's
that.
about
Um,
9.
I mean, how much do you wanna mix up the species? Do you wanna ask for like
Maybe
each
2 additional.
species, or do you wanna ask for?
I'd say 2 additional.
So there would only be 4. It's a possibility, unfortunately, because the planning board
Did-
hearing is closed. We couldn't revise the plans.
Okay,
So it would have to be kind of as an option, and then during construction, we could look into it.
uh-huh,
But I can't guarantee it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Would you like an opinion from the planning board?
sure.
You're on
I know.
the board back here.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion?
I have to summarize.
You're, oh. Would you have a issue with including 2 additional species of trees onto the list?
That's a planning board issue.
It's not my.
It's not your jury.
Not our purview.
It's not our, yeah,
I can't recall, and wouldn't require.
yeah, yeah.
Nor would I require conditional approval by any other board, so.
That's a planning board issue,
Yeah,
not for this meeting.
I think in this case, it was merely questioning if there was a chance to have additional species of trees.
Notwithstanding, if I might add, Mr. Chairman, has already been made and approved.
so maybe it could be part of our purview in
If I
that,
may, Mr. Chairman, let me put it this way. As the engineer stated, just come up with an idea and let's run it by us instead of tying up tonight. We have a lot of other agendas tonight. And instead of beating up on a tree or 2, give us some ideas, let's play around with it, see what the survival is, let's talk to some smart people that know what they're talking about when it comes to trees, and then we can go from there, but not prolong this meeting tonight over a tree or 2.
So obviously, we want to.
I guess what we're saying, Bill, is, as you know of in the past, is that we're always willing to accommodate, so we just need the suggestions. I paid the engineers to come up with these things, been approved, we've gone through this whole process for 2 years. Last minute, 11th hour, and all of a sudden we're worried about a type of a tree, so.
So I can wrap it up if you're done.
Yep.
So the best thing to do would be, if you had some thoughts, we have a 2-week process during which we submit our comments on the boilerplate list of conditions that we send to GPR. So if you had some questions about trees, that would be the time to bring them up.
perfect, okay, thanks.
But as stated correctly by the planning board and the applicant, it isn't under the purview of this board to speak to those trees. Those trees would only be under our purview if they were part of a planting plan that was for remediation.
Mhm.
So if there was remediation and there was low bush blueberry and other things,
Mhm.
that would be the time for us to speak up. But as far as the other trees, they have nothing to do with us.
Okay,
So right now, there's a motion that has been seconded to issue the order of conditions for 100-0389. If there's no further comment, all in favor say aye. Aye. Doesn't count.
I think you did that at the planning board.
I'm certain he did.
Thank you very much. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you very much. So, as we typically do, let's continue this public hearing to June 23rd.
Second.
Nick, you don't have to appear on the 23rd if you have no comments on the boilerplate, but you're certainly welcome to attend.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick, good job.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
aye.
Okay. So, we issued the order, and we've continued to 6:23. All right, let's open the public hearing, reopen the public hearing for DEP file number 100-0388, Rosewood. We have new plans.
Mr. Chairman, question on that last one. Did you vote to issue the order of conditions, but you kept the hearing open?
We did. The way that we do it is that because we don't have the order of conditions prepared tonight, we work on the order of conditions over the next 2 weeks, exchange it back and forth with your office, make sure that there's no questions or comments, and then issue the final order and close the hearing at the next meeting.
And then, theoretically, if we get this back over some order, that you can sit here with me, we can have it out and they can make their minds.
Because the other way
You
that,
go into deliberations, once you close the hearing, then you do deliberations, and you can talk back and forth
Well,
as you
so-
ask questions, but
so
it's
we-
not part of the public hearing.
I see.
That's why I was asking.
We didn't actually close the hearing,
Right.
so. Okay. You have new plans, Scott.
You have your plan, yeah.
So, can we start with discourse on the meeting the other day, out on the site?
Very well. Kyle Burchard with GPR. Several things have happened since we met in the field on our site walk on the 21st of May. And then also since our hearing, we've had numerous discussions with various agencies, and we also came to the conclusion that we need to get the overall wetland disturbance below 5,000 square feet, or we're opening up processes that would kill the project due to the time constraints on the project. So in retooling for that redesign, we secured the services of David Crossman, who went back out to the site and evaluated a section of the mapped wetlands, the flagged wetlands that had always seemed to not actually be a real wetland. And I think Cal can speak to that better, since he was around at the original flagging of the wetlands in December 2015. And that pink line represents the original delineation of the wetlands. What he's drawing in the yellow highlighter is what was flagged on June 2nd in the field.
So when this was originally flagged, it was in December of 2015, and most of this area and all of this area was underwater at the time. When Dave Crossman went out there,
Came right at you.
yeah, it's the danger of this stand. When Dave Crossman went out there, I think he flagged the wetlands up to this edge, and then crossed over and continued the flagging over there, and didn't really look at whether or not the wetlands actually extend down here. He just lumped all of that as part of the wetlands. So now it's not underwater, and we can walk on it, and we can see that there's gravel roadway in some of this area. So I asked the question, I'm sure when they built this roadway, they didn't build it out of hydric soil. So there ought to be a fair amount of gravel out there, and in a way, by way of reducing our total square footage below 5,000 square feet, we ought to get Dave back out there and reevaluate the wetlands now that he can get in there and take soil samples and actually do his due diligence along that roadway. And at this time, this is kind of wet in this area here, but most of this was dry. The yellow is the revised line, the pink was the line that he first drew. Quite honestly, I expected we were going to get out of the wetlands up to this area. I expected all this was going to be gravel. But what actually happened is the water flows across the roadway this way, and where it had flowed across and deposited enough sediment on the road to support a wetland community, Dave said, you really have to call it a wetland. It's got hydrology, it's got soils, it's got plants, it's a wetland. So that's when he flagged this, and he took soil, did borings in this area to determine which side, where it stopped being wetlands, where it started being wetlands. And so he flagged the line down here, and then it wraps, there's an upland knob here with a bunch of upland trees on it, and it actually wraps around this area. So the wetlands is around here, but there is this island of upland in the middle of it. So by doing that, to try and get under 5,000 square feet, by looking at this carefully and saying, okay, where is it wetland, where is it not wetland, we're able to reduce the area somewhat. We also were able to shift the culvert downstream a little bit to curve the road a little bit, still staying within this right-of-way, which is the right-of-way from the planning board's approval for what the actual frontage of the lot is, if you will. We had to stay within that, but by shifting this roadway downstream, we were able to take advantage of this more, get out of the wetland more, and get our total square footage down to around 4,000 square feet. We've also, as part of this discussion, reduced the width of the roadway from 16 feet to 12 feet. Which just seemed like a smart thing to do.
We talked with Mark Wetzel about that. If you had any concerns about that, that was an issue. We didn't have any concerns about that whatsoever. So, as Cal was saying, we did do a bit of redesign on that culvert in order to make all that work. We were trying to optimize not only where it entered the wetlands, but also where it exited the wetlands. There was an existing point, and Dave Crossman did go across to the other side as well and said, there's really nothing to move here. This is all where it ought to be. So the other side stayed where it was, and there's a point in the wetland flagging. We aimed right at that point in order to minimize our overall wetland disturbance. So we went through it, and then also went out in the field, actually the day after Dave flagged the wetlands, to walk with Tim Chory of the Department of Forest and Fish and Game, Division of Ecological Restoration.
It's that card.
And he's very knowledgeable. Brian came out and we walked the stream from the Beaver Dam all the way down to the confluence with James Brook, and
Even a little past it.
and you went a little bit past it.
Both confluences. Turns out it splits into two streams at the end.
There is some braiding that takes place once you get down. We also found another 3 beaver dams seemingly abandoned downstream of the one that we're focused on at Rosewood Avenue. That in that meeting, or that field walk, we identified 3 representative sections that were 7 feet, not the 5 feet that I had measured further downstream. There was a little more stretching of the tape, but we all agreed 7 feet was the representative section of that stream channel. 1.2 times that is 8.4 feet, which doesn't really fit well with the fabrication abilities of concrete manufacturers. So we settled on a 9-foot wide box culvert.
And just to be fair, the stream did split into 2 pieces in the middle of a relatively impenetrable thicket. And so the stream that got measured was the smaller of the 2. And so, without knowing that there were 2 streams out there. Anyway.
But we're comfortable that at this point, that 9 feet fairly represents the standard that Tim was referencing to you when he was on the phone.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, that's very helpful.
So, yeah, it was very helpful. It gave us clear direction on how to proceed with the actual engineering design to try to wrap this up. So, holding with the justification of the base flood elevation that was derived at a 232 elevation, also working with where we needed to be under the 5,000 square feet and narrowing the road and shifting the culvert. It still has at least a 2-foot embedment. It goes from what had been calculated as a 0.53 openness ratio to a 0.75 openness ratio, which is still short of the 0.82 ideal target. But again, and Tim confirmed this in the field as well, that's a goal, and especially in a situation like this where there's not heavy traffic, it's a very easy passage for any turtles especially to be able to climb over the road. That's not an issue. We talked about shaping of the stream channel as it goes through the culvert, which has also been added to the plans in some detail. Basically, it established just a 4-foot wide bottom of the channel and a short 3-to-1 slope, and then a 12-inch bench on either side where larger stones would be placed in order to prevent any type of rutting at the edge of the culvert. It'll keep the stream channel in the middle during most of the time, but it still has the capacity to handle the much larger storms. In fact, now it had been at about 3 times the 100-year storm before it would overtop the driveway. Now it's at 4 times the 100-year storm before it even fills up the culvert. So plenty of capacity. Obviously, that's not the issue. So the numbers, as
Well, but it's helpful to know, right? Because what we're talking about is you're headed in the direction where there's going to be minimal chance that your hard work here is destroyed and has to be started over.
I would say, right, that would have to be one tremendous storm, yeah.
Your culvert won't be our issue.
No, it will not. I doubt it. So,
If I can just jump in at this point too, and the significance, as you all know, but I just want to say it, of being under 5,000 square feet, is we're no longer concerned about a 401 water quality filing, a 404 filing, a Corps of Engineers, and we're also we're not in the ACEC anyways, but we don't have a state permit any longer, so that's kind of a moot point where we are now. Doesn't really matter, because as you know, ENF doesn't get invoked unless it's a state permit. So it just simplifies everything.
It certainly does.
So with all of those new developments, I did somewhat rework the hydraulic narrative, did add some things to it. There were a couple of pieces of information that kind of helped to crystallize exactly what was happening out there. Number one are the USGS maps. They're now brought kind of forward, which show a history of, I don't know how they obtained this information, but from 1893 all the way up until 1988, we have a series of quad maps that show very clearly that historically the pond didn't exist. Now in 1966, the quad map shows the pond there. It shows it where we might anticipate it being farther upstream where the Beaver Lodge is, like as if that were the holdback, the dam that's holding the water back. It doesn't show it down where our crossing is. Every other map shows very clearly that this is a stream channel, that we can feel comfortable that we are restoring a crossing. And in fact, starting in 1935, there was some arrangement of some kind of a indicated crossing. I can't tell what it is, but it's indicating by the legend of the map that that's some kind of a roadway, gravel path, or something that's crossing the stream approximately at this location. Maybe it was going over where the upland is that was mapped. Maybe it was somewhere else. But this has historically been some kind of vehicular crossing. So that was added. Also just kind of combined the sequence of construction, which I don't know if anyone had a chance to read it, had any comments on it.
I didn't have a chance. Did it come out today or?
No, last meeting.
The sequence.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know if there was something new that you had
This
sent.
you got in your email as of like 5 p.m.
Sure, but
That I missed.
really, the
Okay.
sequence had very few modifications to it. What I did in the hydraulic narrative itself was again add the resource for the USGS maps. Kind of went in based on that, a little more detail on what the history of this unnamed pond and unnamed tributary to James Brook, really what it is. It's a stream channel historically. Talked about seeing beaver activity on the site walk that we did see. We saw also what we saw on the stream walk when we determined the bank full width. I just moved the floodplain determination up there. Also go into the compensatory flood storage that's provided, which again we are over. We're not as much over. We're only about 300 cubic yards over instead of. I'm sorry, 300 cubic yards of excess cut. In other words, we are providing 300 cubic yards more flood storage than was there before. So we've hit that mark.
Only because you just touched on it.
Yep.
So I'm just looking at the plan on sheet 6,
Okay.
and it almost looks like, I'm assuming I'm misunderstanding it, so please help me. It says the compensatory flood storage map, and it shows the compensatory flood storage map into the roadway. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding your question.
So I recall we walked this area
Yep.
where it was a bump and we smoothed it out, for lack of a better expression,
Right.
along the stream. But over here, it almost looks like the area that is supposed to serve as compensatory storage goes into the road.
Ah, okay, I see what you're saying. I think that just may be an old hatch pattern. I mean, that was not where it was calculated, that's not where the contour lies. It should be, that little hatch should be pulled farther back to the 232 contour, which you could probably most easily identify
I can
on
see
a
it.
larger plan.
I can see it in here, right? It's this one here.
That's right. That hatching spilled over, that's not where it's from.
Okay. I just figured if I didn't ask.
No.
So I apologize. You were on compensatory and you were working your way into wetland replication.
Right, again, I think I've summarized generally what the criteria were for the culvert design itself. That was the next part of the narrative, which goes into all of these various meetings, discussions, site walks, site visits to determine what's the appropriate design for that culvert. And then also do the, what happens potentially with the ponding condition upstream, which is that if there's no other constriction upstream, we are dropping the elevation by over 6 feet. And this is due to, again, stream crossing standards require, they make no provision for us to retain ponding upstream when we're restoring the stream flow, the stream channel for this crossing. Then we go into the sequence of construction, which again we try to detail out to make sure that there's no confusion about what needs to happen. I did meet out there with the contractor who would likely be doing the work of the beaver dam removal, and apparently there's a very interesting machine that's a track machine. It's got 2 3-foot wide tracks and some kind of very large inflated tires that those tracks roll on. It rolls in on those tracks and rolls straight back out. When it's in, it's got some kind of a boom arm with the claw, and it'll take pieces of the dam, and it has a platform, and it sets it down and rolls out, and they saw it up, and it goes in the truck and goes away, and they do it again until they get rid of the dam.
Interesting.
So again, the gradual dewatering is cited in the order, or not the order, but the sequence of construction. Again, there has to be supervision over that. We don't just trust the contractor to take it down bit by bit. It's got to be supervised so that it doesn't create some kind of downstream washout catastrophe when the whole dam just gives way. It would be done piece by piece. We still do have an element in there for a beaver fence, and thinking about what type of potential mitigation there could be for beaver activity. We need to defer to the experts at Beaver Solutions or some other authority as to exactly what would work there. A beaver deceiver really isn't going to work because we're not going to have a pond any longer.
And just after you left, Tim and I went out and explored this question a little bit, and we figured that pond downstream will likely come out the other side. So essentially that downstream pond, where the beaver dam is that we found.
The first beaver dam?
Yeah.
Okay.
That beaver dam will pond right through your culvert. So there won't
Yes,
be
that's-
any running water, so there won't be a reason for a beaver to.
Except during construction, with
Right.
beaver management during construction, again, I'm going to defer to Mike Callahan of Beaver Solutions to know what to do and to be consultative during construction. The person I met with from the contractor from EW Sykes, Clint Sykes, seemed very familiar. It was very comforting to talk to him. He's done a lot of projects that deal with beaver dam removal, dealing with the beavers. they're gonna come out there, where if they're nearby, and when they start hearing, construction noise, and they will confront the crew. And so he's familiar with dealing with them, not harming them.
The beavers will confront the
The
crew?
beavers are fearless, and they want to protect their habitat, so
They do bite.
they will come out and they will do what they do, and, he's familiar with handling them with kid gloves, apparently, and we'll get the appropriate consultation. If they need to be, trapped and relocated, then that may have to happen.
So, just so that we don't gloss this over, what I believe I heard you say was that downstream there's a dam, and because of that dam, we believe the water will back up to a level that keeps no running water through this culvert? Is that what I heard you say?
That's not entirely correct. It means that the flow of water will not be turbulent enough so that it will cause an alarm in the beavers to
So it
know.
will cause the noise that
The
they're looking
noise,
for?
They will not get, the noise is the trigger.
Right, so they make the dams, they don't make the dam in the area like where we were standing, looking at the water. There was almost no movement in the water that we were looking at.
Right. Has
So
lots
there's no reason to dam anything there, so if the similar condition happens in the culvert pipe, they wouldn't be induced to dam it.
What will happen is the ponding would result through the culvert from that next downstream beaver dam that's there, assuming that nothing happens to it during construction. The idea is, in order to de-water as much as possible, there would be a siphon put over that downstream dam to be able to draw down the water
Right.
as much as possible. There still is probably going to need to be a coffer at the downstream edge of construction, just enough so that whatever water doesn't get taken away by the siphon and whatever is pumped around through the dewatering structure, silt sack, and then goes into the stream just downstream of the construction site, will have a way to get out of there, and the site will be protected, the excavation will be protected from that water, backing up again.
So the main reason that
And
caught my
just
attention
to
as you
keep
brought it
going
up.
with that, this was when we thought that the crossing was gonna be in the original location, and you've shifted it a little bit downstream, right?
It shifted downstream in
Yeah.
order to minimize
So it should
the
be
weather
even more so,
resources.
rather than like a 2 or 3 foot like pool upstream, it might be like a 5 or 8 foot upstream pool.
Okay, so,
It's an unknown as far as what happens when the beaver dam comes out, which
Right.
is going to be the subject of DPW going to the Board of Health. I think the plan is currently DPW will approach the Board of Health on July 11th. They will come before the Concom then probably on July 14th. As I understand it, from that point, it moves very quickly. So the contractor will be on board to be ready when that's issued, when that permit is issued, to take advantage of that 10-day window. In talking with Clint Sykes, he talked about many different scenarios, but one was in a situation where, because he's worked under those 10-day permits before, where there were conditions, I think he did have, bad weather or winter weather or some kind of condition that had extended beyond the 10 days. There wasn't a way around it. He was very open and communicative with the Concom, and they were able to work with him to extend that period. Not saying that that's going to happen, just saying that this guy seems to have the wherewithal to be cognizant of his role and what he's doing, and to work with, the appropriate authorities.
Clint Sykes will be doing the culvert as well. He'll be doing all the work out there, not just the beaver dam.
excellent.
And it's the beaver dam removal that has the 10-day window on it.
That's right.
The culvert construction takes what it takes, it's just the beaver dam.
So, to make sure that we cover this all the way, was there any way to shoot the elevation on that other beaver dam down far? The one that you think may cause the ponding back?
I would submit to you that it's very close to the elevation of the water that was at the toe of our Rosewood Avenue beaver dam, which I'd say that water was maybe 4 inches deep. So if the bottom of the stream at that area was somewhere around in between
According to here, it'd be about-
226.75 and 227, we're talking about 227 and 3 inches maybe, something like that.
Your topo through there says 230, right behind the dam. Is that where you're talking about being 4 inches deep, or are you talking about farther down?
The topo on the shoreline might say 230, and I apologize that the scale of this is very difficult to read because the bathymetric survey that was done adds contours. There's a lot happening in this area.
Sure. On the other
The
side.
actual, on the upstream or downstream?
On the upstream side, there's a ton of good information.
Okay,
On the downstream side, it's just
it's a jump.
just 230.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a pit basically in front of the existing beaver dam.
Right.
It goes down to a 226 elevation, or 227, 226.
Yeah, you got 226 still in the hole.
So I don't exactly know where the toe of the current beaver dam is. And in fact, that's just an unknown. I don't know. And I don't know what it will do once that gets removed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't clear. What I was referring to is, there's a beaver dam downstream.
Where's that elevation?
Were you able to shoot that? Because remember, a big part of this project was to drop the water to a certain elevation to allow you to see the top of the manhole structures. I know that's part and parcel of the entire project.
Well, that will happen regardless. The downstream, so let's take it this way. The elevation in the stream just down from the Rosewood Beaver Dam
Mhm.
is an elevation of approximately 227, let's say.
Okay.
And the water depth at that point is about 4 inches, more or less. The profile of the water from the Rosewood Beaver Dam to this downstream beaver dam, which is about 350, right at the bend in the stream, it's not going to be that much less.
Okay.
So that beaver dam is set more or less at 227 and a few inches.
So even if we said 228, that's
That's
not a
way
problem
high.
for our.
That would be way high, it would have to be lower.
I just don't remember what was our.
The water now is 233.
233.3 is the water that was shot in April.
And you were anywhere from a couple of inches to 3 feet too deep.
Correct.
So as long as we were at 230, so if
And that
we, if,
accounts for the manholes, it doesn't necessarily account for the actual pathway to access the manholes.
Certainly.
Just in thinking it through, yes, this will take the water level down substantially, maybe completely, depending on what constrictions may be upstream. And it doesn't preclude the need for an additional emergency NOI through the Board of Health to do some measure, whether it's a beaver deceiver or something, in the upstream dam at the Beaver Lodge that we saw out there.
sure. All I'm suggesting is that you developed new information the other day that says that the stream isn't just going to flow through. There's another obstruction. It's a beaver dam, which is somewhere between 227 and 228. So if that was the only dam when we were done, the water level in the area where the structures are would be appropriate or useful
Correct.
to the DPW.
That's right.
If that was the only dam.
Yes, because
So-
the elevation difference would be 6 to 6.5 feet from where it is now to the elevation. The depth of the ponding over the manholes is only 3 feet. But again, the manholes that are further upstream of the Beaver Lodge that we saw, if that is intact and holding all that water upstream, those upper manholes potentially could need an additional action to do the beaver deceiver. And I
Right.
submit to you that the beavers, if they're active, would probably make that happen.
And the active dam, that it looked like the beaver that you guys observed appears to be the immediately downstream dam with the one by where the road was.
Oh, you're saying, well, I thought the beaver that was
Was it
seen on the
second?
sidewalk was upstream of Rosewood Avenue.
Right.
Is that
But I
right?
remember.
It was pretty proximal to the dam.
Not that they're restricted.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it
Yeah.
turns out they'll go wherever they want to
Yeah,
go. But
yeah, yeah.
and let's face it, the only reason that he builds the dam down below is so that his other dam doesn't fail. So
That's correct.
Right. The when Tim was with us, his opinion was that the downstream dam looked fresher, whereas all the older ones just looked older. And so the beaver you guys saw may not have been a resident of that pond, but was simply going upstream to see what was around and just exploring. So the downstream dams are likely to stay longer than the upstream ones.
interesting. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens if for no other reason than, depending upon what you had for a stream down to that lower dam, if he'd be able to form a lodge down there anyway. Because if he can't, He's gonna have his lodge back up here, so.
Bingo.
All right, so the long story short is, there were a couple of big things that came out of it. The first one, and probably the most important, is that you're below 5,000 square feet. So that takes away some of the permitting that, quite frankly, was of great concern to us, because it's not permitting that we have a lot of experience with, and we would have been stuck looking for someone to help us to understand it. So that's big. The second part, you've established the stream channel with probably the most expert person who could have come out and helped you to do it in the area that of expertise in this region. So that was hugely great to get that information nailed down. And then last but not least, it's good to hear that the person who's going to come in and that you have planned to come in and do the beaver dam work is someone who does this for a living. And so it's not going to be done with a huge excavator like we were discussing on site. So all positives.
When you said he's going to do the culvert work, is he also going to do the stream construction?
Yes, the whole
He's
thing.
going to do the whole nine, yeah, okay.
Where's Sykes out of?
He's local, I don't know.
It starts with A, I'm sorry, I don't.
Is he Ashburnham or Ashby?
No,
Or?
it's something different, I forget, if I can find out.
Across from Virginia.
Yeah, sorry.
His name is Steve Sykes,
Clint.
Clint.
Sykes.
and S-Y-K-E-S.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very comforting that he was as comfortable with and experienced and had suggestions on how to do it and understood the expectations of the commission and us, and reading through the sequence of construction, understood it. It was just, your comment about contractors didn't go unnoticed.
Well, I'm glad,
That's
because
a good one.
unfortunately, I think we've all run into situations where the person who's on site isn't as cognizant of what the concerns are. He's cognizant of speed and doesn't always come together the right way.
Do you know his background? Is he more of a hydrologist or more of an ecologist, or like,
No, he's a contractor with knowledge of how to be respectful of those things.
Okay.
I think the important part is he's got that really cool toy. that
Yeah,
you
no,
can see.
I'm gonna go up on the site and watch him use it.
Pretty hard to
Yeah.
Well, I
miss.
think that's
Yeah.
expected.
Right? Jess, did you have any questions in follow-up?
Just to visualize, right now, if we were on the sites, the non-Rosewood side of when we did the site walk, and you can see the beaver dam. So that's, the beaver dam, and that whole area is gonna be excavated down. But the roadway extension's and the culvert's been moved a little further down.
To the right.
To the
If you're
right.
looking at it from that eastern bank,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
It's moved over.
But it's still extending Rosewood Avenue, just moved a few
That's
feet over.
correct. It is shifted over. And
You can see the jog if you look at the plan.
I'm terrible with plans.
Well, if you were standing on Rosewood, the original plan had it coming straight down Rosewood, crossing over the dam and then turning. And now it turns and then goes over the stream bed
Okay.
and then turns. So it has a,
The shift is approximately 30 feet,
Mhm.
which seems like a lot, and but it ends up being less impactful, so.
And second question, just for information, in Takashi, you might know this, or the answer to this, because Beth Sudemeyer had mentioned the 404, the Army Corps for any sort of filling and dredging in waters of the U.S. Does that have that doesn't have a 5,000 square foot trigger or anything? So would that that doesn't apply?
The core permit has its own thresholds and criteria.
Okay, so that are you comfortable with this not triggering that threshold?
No,
Okay.
I'm not an expert in it, so. that's
Okay.
I don't have a
I'll
good
wait
answer.
for your comment.
okay, anything else?
That's it.
Thank you, sir. So to expound,
No, so mine, I don't have a great answer for Jessica, because I don't deal with the core permit that often. So, other than saying I don't really know the answer to it.
well, maybe the right thing to do at this moment would be to say, can you speak to a core permit with regard to a 5,000 or other threshold?
There are there's two categories generally, and depending on what your impacts are within the criteria, you can either self-notify under a category 1, or you go to a more convoluted category 2. But other than that sort of general
Well,
breakdown,
5,000 square feet is the threshold, so we don't trigger the additional, any additional anything. I mean, it's
Is that the threshold for the Army Corps? I mean, I know it is for the MAPE review and stuff, but
Well, the Army Corps has the 404, and they have, under the EPA regulations, they have responsibility for Clean Water Act. And what they do is they have a general permit that the state works under, and they use that to delegate the authority to the state for some of the lesser impacts, which is what the 401 water quality certificate is. And so it's the 5,000 square feet, and my understanding is when you get beyond, and I'm not quite sure what beyond the 5,000 is required before the Army Corps kicks in, but the lesser projects, the smaller projects are the ones that are regulated under the 401 water quality for the filling. And then when you get beyond that, then the Army Corps takes over. And I understand what you're saying about the self-regulating. We were looking at that as well, but it seemed like that was also subject to this 5,000 square foot limit.
So, so Cal and Kyle, sorry.
Yes.
Are speaking to impacts to DPW, but there are also other criteria for impacts to bank, to land over water, that sort of thing, that the Corps also, that also could fall under the Corps permit. So, and again, I'm not an expert in.
So
in
I might be able to
so-
help with this a little bit. I talked to Joe about whether or not this all should be a single project or whether it should be separate. And he thought that they should be separate because
wait, what should be separate?
Oh, so, okay, so, hold on. So you're skipping ahead to the other question.
Well, it might inform this question.
not really. I mean,
Oh, all right.
what?
Okay, so to tether back,
So I guess
So
my
the
point is,
open
it's not,
question
really our,
is-
it's not really our place to decide whether they need to go for a Corps permit. It's up to them.
correct, it's up to the applicant to follow up on that,
Right.
which it seems pretty reasonable as we go through the process to just ask if you can make the inquiry,
Sure.
Yes.
since, and then if we can document that the inquiry has been made, that at least puts us all on the same footing. If the Corps comes back to you and says, whoa, we've had issues with these, then we'd certainly like to work with you to hear about it first,
Yeah.
then find out after construction has started. So does that speak to that issue?
But yeah. I
Okay.
think so.
Now, the issue that Brian was about to talk about was, remember, during the meeting, one of the questions that had come up at the very beginning and then had also come up with Beth was regarding the fact that there were two projects contiguous.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and should they be split?
He's talking about something different. He's talking about the beaver dam versus the crossing.
So,
Oh,
so did you talk to Joe about the separation of the two projects as well? Okay, so it turns out there's another surprise.
Well, there's three projects that are contiguous essentially. It's the RDA,
Yeah,
the NOI, and the emergency permit.
gotcha. So they count the emergency permit as part of the whole. Okay, well, that makes sense.
You know, 'cause- or that was Beth's point, and you know, it was a good point, and Joe acknowledged as much. But when you know the process is laid out, it's basically whether or not this process goes through. This project is irrelevant to the need for the dewatering. You know, that's going to happen anyway,
Has to happen.
and DPW is merely taking advantage of the situation in a relative sense. And so the two projects, because they have wholly separate motivations and goals, should be considered separately, according to Joe. So the impact to land underwater obviously goes down a good bit for
So-
this consideration.
So before we go any farther, for anyone who's wondering, Joe is Joe Bellino. He's with the state DEP. He's the person in the central office that we speak to if we have any issues regarding helping us to follow up on regulations in our area. So if Joe says that that's an appropriate way to deal with it, then that's where we would have ended up anyway if there had been any kind of appeal. So that's appropriate.
Right.
Perfect.
And so, you know, why, you know, I brought it up in terms of land underwater and, you know, the impact of the project and, you know, the total considerations that might be brought before the Army Corps. Anyway.
Okay. Thank you very much. So does that tie together part of your question?
maybe.
So I think where we're at is,
I think we moved down to Takashi's concerns on this similar, so.
We have, but
Yeah.
clearly it was all really the same question. So, did you have anything more? Sir?
Yeah, so I guess, it's obviously good for the project to get under the 5,000 square foot threshold for disturbance. I don't think we saw any of the wetland data sheets that were from the basis of your delineation for the original submittal. Now that you're revising the submittal that involves a wetland delineation that helps you get under 5,000 feet, I think we definitely need to stick to the requirement that they provide us with, at a minimum, the wetland data sheets for that, so we can feel comfortable that, if we're gonna potentially approve a project that is now approvable because they redrew the wetland line, we wanna make sure that we're doing that with a solid foundation for doing so.
I think that's an excellent question. So on here, the plan that I have here, I assume shows I saw how I can barely make out the yellow highlight, but I see that it comes in at a point, which are these flags, 04, 05, 06, 07, and then it comes back up and around 08, 209, 10, 211. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. Okay, so those wetland flags are shown on here. That's a start.
We can certainly get Dave to give us the data sheets on that.
That would be a minimum, I guess, my preference, I think, for something like this, where we're talking about so many different resource areas and jurisdictions. I'm just gonna throw it out there that might be worth invoking the consultant review for this to make sure we're not missing anything. There's just so many different components to it, and now they've been revised, and we're being asked to look at it again, so just a thought.
Well, I thought the same thing, and it definitely came up during the site walk that we had a couple of grave concerns, and a lot of those came from the fact of what we just frankly didn't know. And so dropping below the 5,000 square foot disturbance threshold to me is important, especially if it eliminates the 401 and the 404. I understand that 4,999 isn't much better than 5,000, but I understand where you're coming from.
Well, we're at 4,000, we're well below.
So that's the first part. The second part is I feel very comfortable that Mr. Chorley was able to come out and help with the stream bed information. Beyond that, I do believe.
did ask him about wetlands as well, and he deferred from offering even an opinion, just because that's not his world. So there's nothing from that sidewalk to add to this back and forth.
I do believe that, and obviously the applicant understands that, it would be a big hanging question for us about the Army Corps. So if we can get that squared away in the meantime. I guess I was in the same boat. I'm not now, but I'm certainly interested to hear other people's opinions. I feel like we got to the base parts of what we were trying to achieve, especially with Mr. Chorley and the stream bed. That was a big question from the last time, but that's a personal opinion.
No, I agree that it was definitely helpful to have them involved.
Well, I feel like up till then, with absolutely no offense to Kyle's tape measure, I think up till then, none of us were prepared to go out and figure out what that stream bed was supposed to be. So, just not the kind of thing any of us have done before. So,
But that's just one of the resource areas that we're potentially being asked to consider. And so for these other ones, especially now that they've been revised to help,
It was revised to help it, but it was also revised because.
Right, but we haven't seen
obvious-
any of the
I understand, but it was also
documentation for
revised
it.
because it was very obvious that the road surface itself being included in the wetlands was incorrect.
And that's
It was
fine, but
done that way just because it was underwater at the time in December when he did the original flagging, so we asked him to come back in better conditions and do a better job and do it with soil samples and borings, and he did that, and I think he can provide the data sheets to show it. And beyond that, I don't think there's a lot of really anything to question about where the wetlands are. They're so extensive, and we're flagging them as being so extensive. It's not, and even if one of those flags moved a little bit, it's not really going to make any difference. We'll be at 4,200 or 3,800. We're not going to be at 5,000.
are you concerned about this area over here that's draining?
not really. I just want to see the basis for the delineation. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm not asking for anything that isn't required, so.
Of course not.
So-
You do mention, you just sort of mentioned a blanket of all these other resource areas. Are there others that you have a specific concern about?
Well, yeah, so there's, obviously you're going to be altering, there's a bank, there's potential land underwater. I don't think that was specifically mentioned, unless I missed it.
I don't.
Those things also could trigger a core permit if they meet whatever their criteria are.
Mhm.
So,
But I thought we agreed that that was something we need to take up with the Corps, and it's our responsibility to do that.
sure. So there are a lot of questions, I guess, is my point.
I would like to add one thing if I could. If you turn
Thank you,
the
Art.
clock back,
That's Bill Wood.
Oh, okay.
right, if you turn the clock back 60 or 70 years, there was virtually no wetlands there. In fact, they used to hay that field. And there used to be a brook, there used to be 2 dams involved. And it's just since the beavers have started to do their work in the middle 60s that debris has washed in there, which has made it a wetlands, really. In fact, in the summer of 1962, my grandfather sold a lot of topsoil to the town of Ayer when they were doing their sewage project. And that upper pond, the one that's closest to the railroad tracks, it was so dry, my grandfather took a bulldozer, bulldozed up all the loam, and the town came up and picked it up and trucked it away. And going down Rosewood Avenue straight, there's a culvert underneath that water level. I don't know whether you found it or not, but the culvert is basically at the bottom of the stream bed. And if you drain it down a little bit, you'll be able to stand on the top of the culvert, and it's about a 3-foot culvert. There used to be another culvert down, probably about 100 feet, or probably 150 feet, this side of James Brook. And that culvert was taken out back approximately 1962. I took it up. And the third culvert there is on a little roadway which leads up to under high power lines, and that was something my grandfather put in the middle 1960s. So as I say, originally to do those core samples, there was virtually no wetlands there,
Just the stream.
just the stream.
So I think, so thank you very much, Bill. I think part of what Takashi's talking about is that obviously when we're changing or disturbing a stream,
Right, I
it's
understand.
it's pretty big.
Right.
And one of the things that we've tried to be as respectful as possible to the applicant and everyone else is to make sure that everyone understands. We've rarely had a stream project come before us.
Right.
And so part of the follow-up and part of the questions that you're hearing right now are from people who don't do this every single day. So yeah, your input is very much appreciated. It is interesting, and we kept on going back to the photos, that the applicant had examples of the area that is now a pond and wasn't before.
Right. No, I just wanted to add that because he had some maps there from 1935 and so on and so forth. And actually, they used to drain the pond. There used to be 2 small ponds there. They used to dam up. There used to be an ice pond.
Yeah.
And they would let the water out during the spring, hay those fields, and then in the fall, put the plug back on the dam. And the last year they made ice was 1943.
I think I know that town is.
I was going to say, we
Found that.
had the same question about up at the top of where the old Richardson house was. There was a pond up there, and there was a stone-made spillway. And it looked like they probably did the exact same thing, dammed it up and caught it in that little kettle hole up there. Anyway, it's one of my favorites. Sorry. So are you comfortable if the applicant approaches the Corps and the Corps comes back with a discussion or recommendations?
Yes.
Okay.
And they'll provide the data sheets from the wetland scientist.
Okay. Do you have any other questions? Okay. Bonnie?
No.
Anything further to add?
The bylaw consultant, that angle. Do you want to keep on that road? Do you want to see the sheets first, or?
I think
I can't invoke it all by myself, so.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think what I'd be comfortable with is if the Army Corps comes back. So right now, the state has standards, and the project is below those standards. If the Army Corps comes back and says, yep, this is a simple one, nothing to worry about, and their letter says we're all set, then I would say we're fine. If the Army Corps came in and they said, you know what, actually this is a different project, we need to have this kind of criteria followed, then at that point, we would have to admit that we were in over our heads, and we would have to bring in someone who could speak to the situation based upon the Army's representation.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, as I've said before, we're under some pretty serious time constraints for reasons unrelated to.
I can actually save you the speech. So I don't have any problem moving forward with the idea that we don't close the hearing until the Army Corps paperwork comes back.
What paperwork are you looking for from the Army Corps?
So like we
Because
were
that,
saying,
as you know, takes sometimes quite a long time. What are you looking
I
for?
mean, I was hoping that you would not make your approval contingent upon the Army Corps because it's a separate proceeding and it's a separate authority, but that you would close the hearing and issue the order of conditions, and then if the Army Corps comes to us and says, no, you need to change this, this, and this, we have to file a new notice of intent with you.
I don't know if I'm
Because-
comfortable.
Well, because I'll tell you what will happen. If the Army Corps comes back and says, no, we need you to redesign this whole thing, it's gonna take us 60 days, it'll never happen because our project's dead. And that's the truth, because what's
But I don't-
going on is we've got solar, by the end of January 8th of 2017, all solar projects need to be up and generating power. If they are not, they lose 40% of their subsidies.
right,
And the situation that all these projects are in is they all have investors. And all the investors are painfully aware of that January 8th deadline. And so they are basically saying, this has to happen very soon, so that we can move ahead with our planning. And if the permits drag out for another month, their investors are gone and our project is not gonna happen. And that's just the fact of the matter. And I know that that's not your concern, it's not your objective to worry about whether or not we can do that, but to the extent that we can take our approvals down a road where it's kind of at our risk to secure what we need to secure from the Army Corps without it holding up your permitting, then that's gonna help us.
Tom, if I can say something, we've engineered this thing to death a dozen times. You got a team of engineers here that are highly educated and highly qualified. They aren't gonna put their license on the line for doing something that's not right. They've been doing this, and all we're asking is, we're starting to deal with unknowns here, and we're starting to raise a question here and there, and all of a sudden, it's just like it's dragging and dragging and dragging.
this is the second meeting, Calvin.
Yeah, but these guys have engineered this thing to death, and it's a time deal, and we're just trying to do what's right for that entire property, and these damn beavers have just screwed it up.
Please.
So, you did come forward with a revision, which we're just looking at today. I don't think it's unreasonable for us to simply ask for some of the documentation that you would have submitted to us anyways, had you not revised it. You know, asking for the data sheets, technically it's
But
required.
I said when I get
It's
those.
required, so, but I don't think we can close the hearing without having that information in hand, so.
If we're talking
Then
about
the
data
whole
sheets,
project's gonna get
that's,
killed.
that's great, because that's within our immediate control.
That's a requirement.
Of course, but going through the Army Corps is not. Perhaps if we identify the criteria and evidence the criteria that we are not meeting, we're not triggering that criteria, rather than trying to obtain a letter from a person which, through the bureaucracy, is just not feasible.
In any timely fashion. I mean, I think there's set criteria. I think we ought to be able to determine what those are, and we ought to be able to figure out whether or not we're subject to it. And if the Army Corps says we need 60 days to review this before we can tell you if you can do anything or not, we're probably done.
So I guess I would like to think, certainly based on Mr. Moore's comment, that if there were criteria like that, we would have already looked at them. So that's a concern in its own.
Well,
But
we thought we have. We don't believe that we're subject to it, but we need to go back and obviously research that more specifically.
so our typical process, as discussed during the last hearing and in all the other hearings that you've been at in the past, Calvin, is that at a night like tonight, we would vote to issue an order, and then we take the next 2 weeks during our downtime where we send you the boilerplate order, we go over any special conditions, we hash all those things out without having to do it in the 2 hours it takes in the meeting, and then we appear at the next hearing we introduce the order of conditions into the public record, we discuss why we've come to those conclusions, and then we close the hearing at that time.
It is our hope that you would be able to do that.
So I guess at that point, so to Takashi's point, I would expect that the data sheets would be available in between. Potentially electronically so that Takashi and Brian could review them together.
Sure.
And that the second part would be that you could put together a memo that spoke to the Army Corps conditions that you were aware of, that we could then identify. And so today is the 9th. So we'd be talking about, our next hearing is on the 23rd. So what I would really want to see is before the end of next week, see that memo, so that if we had further comments, we'd at least have days to talk about it, hash out anything that would prevent us from getting stuck before that next meeting.
We'll try and do it quicker.
Understandable. At that point, our hope would be that you might even get some feedback from the Army Corps of Engineers. And so it would be great to even just see and be copied on, an email stating that you had perused the requirements and you were just following up to make sure if there were any comments. Whatever the right way is for you to do that we could be copied on it so that we had the notice of a good intention to chase that down.
Absolutely, I understand.
Does that put us in the ballpark? Sure. Because interestingly, as Mr. Moore pointed out, obviously their licenses are on the line for the application and the work that we're proceeding with. So, okay. Did anyone have any other questions? Ms. Tillotson?
No.
Just to interpret your comments, so if they're doing all that, do you want me to be at the same time playing ping pong with the conditions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The intention would be that the order of conditions goes on its own chain of events, with the idea that, as Cal has pointed out, that they had looked into these, that they feel comfortable, and that there's no expectation of Army Corps feedback. So we'll proceed along that line, while at the same time chasing down the Army Corps requirements, because again, it's a stream crossing, and we haven't done 700 of these like we have our regular permits. So actually probably close to 200 by now from my tenure, but this is certainly different for us. So,
Thank you very much.
so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page and we're heading in the right direction, but not going beyond what we know. Okay. If there's nothing further, I would entertain a motion to issue the order of conditions for the Rosewood project, DEP file number 100-0388. So moved. I understand. Would you wish to second that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Right. We're clear on the direction that we're headed?
Yeah.
Okay. And if there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any abstentions? Any nays? Sir?
You voted no.
Okay. I would accept a motion then to continue this public hearing to June 23rd, 2016.
Second.
Last point of discussion. So I'll pass back through Brian. You are in a wonderful period of time because Brian is in the office pretty much nonstop now
For like 2 more weeks.
for 2 more weeks.
And then what?
And then what?
Well, no, it's just that we were able to take advantage of interpretation of the hours that he could use in the office through the end of the year. So instead of Brian only being in a couple days a week, he's in full time. So should help.
All right.
Excellent.
That should help.
Yeah.
That's good.
So there's a motion and seconded to continue the public hearing to the 23rd. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have you seen a copy of that?
Yes.
Okay, you got that?
Yes.
Good,
We're-
good.
We do that.
Good. All right, good.
He also,
No, yeah.
he also hung out with the guy who wrote that.
Yeah, I was,
Yeah.
so we,
Good.
Well,
Good.
not he wrote it, but
All
yeah,
right.
kind of he did.
His department.
All right, good. Good, good, good.
We talked about Pinewood. Oh, just gonna turn it on while we talk about Pinewood and see if you guys want to approve like $250 to clean it up.
The derby?
No, not Pinewood. Pine Ridge.
Pine Ridge.
Oh. Okay.
What do we have to do?
Get up on the big screen.
Have something worth looking at.
Oh.
Thank you.
Is this Pine Ridge that you're putting out?
No,
Okay.
I'm just
No, I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure I wasn't jumping ahead then.
trying to remember how to do all this. Instead of doing it later, I'll try to do it now.
Okay. 8:15 on our agenda was a discussion for 22 Pine Ridge Road, trash on the conservation land. So Brian, as discussed, we had been previously given the opportunity to pay for material to be removed from the conservation land. We were looking at $1,000. There was some concern about that follow-up. You indicated that the discussion now is around $250, is that correct?
Yeah, because the truck cap shouldn't weigh as much as the truck, basically.
I would agree with
And
that.
Bonnie and I had some chats about, recycling versus disposal. And the recycling option probably is, not worth the effort. Because, at the rate of aluminum, per pound, per ton, it just doesn't add up to be worth the trouble to try to get DPW to drive us over to one place instead
I was
of
going to
the
say,
other.
it's not that simple.
Unless it's 100% aluminum.
And there's a lot of it.
Right.
If you have enough of something,
Right. That makes-
anybody will leave you a container, and if you don't, then you don't.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about $250.
Oh, I'm guessing, but 3 tons seems more than reasonable at $80 a ton.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Okay, is anyone here in the audience here to talk about 22 Pine Ridge Road? Just thought I'd ask. Okay,
Oh,
so
and the other detail, sorry, DPW is okay with the letter from the homeowners.
saying that they're not liable for the lawn,
Right.
blah, blah,
And so
blah.
we've got approval from DPW. We've got approval from you guys to spend the money. So now it's just, scheduling. Getting
Okay.
it done.
Well, you skipped ahead. So approval to spend the money, I would entertain a motion to expend $250 of Conservation Commission funds to clean up the material that was left behind 22 Pine Ridge Road on the Pine Meadow Conservation property.
Second.
I'm okay with $250. But on principle, I'm upset. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Brian, you may let the DPW know that funding is available.
Brilliant.
Okay. Next public hearing, we have a violation of the Wetland Protection Act, filling of the wetlands, 3 Vermark Lane at 0 Mark Street. Is that what you have photos of?
Well, eventually, if this ever goes any further than the welcome screen.
Is that at or and?
And. it's an
And.
Yeah.
My
So
apologies.
two
That's what.
violations?
No, 2 properties. It's the way that the assessor's office has it. You've got the 2 sheets in the back there.
Yeah.
It's 1 home and 2 properties.
All right. The property owner's Mr. Casey.
Good evening, Brian Casey. The alleged filling of the wetlands is not filling. I have here copies of invoices. When I first purchased my house, this was an after site. There was tires, there was scrap metal, there's a large garage on my property. Previous owners had used it as a dumping ground. There was pressure treated lumber, there was scrap metal. It was an eyesore, it was dangerous, it was, just not acceptable. What I did is I cleaned it up. In doing so, apparently according to Mr. Colleran, I disturbed the earth. In doing so, there was about 30 yards of trash that was removed. That trash was simply replaced with clean fill. What I further did do, I went on the town's website, parcels with wetlands or river protection. Unfortunately, neither of those addresses that you guys listed are.
Yeah, it's also not like it just it says I wanted to.
Let's do it one step at a time. So, good evening.
Good evening.
So one of the parts that I'd like to identify, just because I always feel like I know where the streets are, but I'm not 100% positive. How do I get to Vermont? What?
Rosewood Ave.
Rosewood Ave.
Take a second right
Yep.
onto Mark Street,
Yep.
and then follow that up until the curve, and then
Yep.
I'm right there. That's Vermont.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're over. Actually, we might even. So that means we're going to catch you in our map. So second right, Mark, is this Vermont right here? Sorry,
I'm sorry, sir.
that's okay. So this is Rosewood.
Correct.
This is the project we were just talking about. This is Rosewood, that's Mark Street.
Yes, sir.
And then I turn left.
Right there where the turn is. That's where my residence is. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So give me one sec. I'm going to look at the same plan that you were looking at. So one of the benefits that we've seen this year with Brian on our staff is that he was able to put together this plan. And I assume this is the one that you saw on the website?
Yes, sir. And then it even says, if you're unsure, check the list. I did check the list.
So, excuse me. So there's both positives and negatives. The positive is that most of the major wetland areas are captured on the sheet, but unfortunately there are areas that aren't. So I'm looking forward to seeing the photos. I think I saw one the other day.
Yeah, I've got it on my phone, but it doesn't really help, and I need to apparently install a browser for this. And that's.
So why don't we start with a description of the property? So it sounds like the property dropped off in the back and the folks before you had left a bunch of trash back there?
I can't say if it was the folks before me or not.
Somebody before you?
Somebody before me did.
Okay.
If you're looking at my residence is actually here. There's a garage over here. My driveway to the garage is here. Driveway to my residence is here.
Mm-hmm.
To the left of the driveway to the garage is where this where this area is. There's also a storm drain that's there that
There's Plan B.
that filters water that's into that said area.
Okay. Can we, do you have a stick? Could we do it that way?
Oh, there's one upstairs. I can go get it.
It seems a lot faster than this
Yeah.
other way.
It does.
That's-
Yeah, in other words, use a flash drive to pull it off of this and just stick it in and out.
Mr. Chairman, are we able to see what you're looking at?
That's what we're attempting to do. So unfortunately for Brian, the machine was not set up properly to accept what he was trying to do with it. So
Okay.
we're going to take it right off of this machine and put it right into that machine with a flash drive. What did you do with the trash that was there?
I disposed of it. I hired a company to dispose of it. It cost me $800.
I bet it did. All right. Do you have your USGS?
Yes. Somewhere in this thing.
So it feels inappropriate to even try and describe it off of this photo like this because no one other than you can see it, but I'm wondering if what we have is an isolated area over here.
I apologize, I don't understand what you're saying by isolated.
Sure. So the area that Mr. Moore was talking about is a stream with wetlands around it. And so when you have an area like that, it's jurisdictional under the state regulations. If, however, you have an isolated wetland that is not tied into other systems, then it's an isolated wetland and it's not as jurisdictional. I say not as jurisdictional because it's not jurisdictional in this community or under the state law. However, it is still an area that we would look to protect with you because it's obviously part of your property and it's a benefit to you to protect that area. So it sounds like you've already started in that direction.
Sir, with all due respect, that's what I'm trying to do.
Bill, if I may, I believe I'm the owner of that lot. And I'm doing a deal with Brian to sell him that. And that lot is because the town of Ayer is having the catch basins dump their water under that. So I can eliminate that water going on there real quick with a bag of cement on each end. So that is really not a stream, it's a runoff from the road and runoff from the drains. From Jonathan and from Vermont there.
Were there pine trees there? Like,
There's pine trees over that whole project.
no, were there pine trees that got cut down like 8 years ago?
If I may, sir, I purchased the property in 2012. It was taken down when, before.
Right, no, I
purchased the
assumed it was before you, but I was just trying to remember if Calvin remembered that if there had been pine trees that got taken down there. Because
Jim told me to go get them cut down, I hired somebody, and I don't know where.
If I might approach, Mr. Chairman?
If I may, I brought some neighbors just to speak.
No,
about some of
I
the stuff
appreciate
I've
that.
done.
I applaud, if you will, that piece of property that we're soon to get a look at. And about 8 or 10 years ago, the previous owner of Wehrmark
Yeah,
cut down a good 50, 60 trees. That whole pie-shaped lot was covered with pine trees. One of the aspects of what I see is going on is that Brian is undertaken to prevent what has happened to me personally as one who lives right across the little, whatever we're gonna call it.
Domer's Brook.
The lot.
If you're looking at the
A
screen.
number of
itself,
trees over the years have fallen to the danger and safety of me and my property, with my car, my shed, my house. So initially what you see is when you see the picture, I think if you got a current one, you're going to see some berming of his lot line, because we talked about between cutting trees down on his tree line and getting rid of those that were coming this way. And I'm sure Calvin can attest, having come by to remove a couple of trees that did fall on my property for that same reason. So, this is more a matter of a public safety effort that Brian undertook on his own. Because I said, hey, these trees are gonna kill me someday.
no, I remember, the reason I brought up the trees is I remember going to this property with Becky in 2007. She had just started, and she let me know that a neighbor had called and said, hey, there were a bunch of trees being taken down, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I think I actually went here about 9 years ago to take a look at those trees that had been cut down. And so if that's the case, then I remember the area we're talking about.
Right.
That's good.
But in essence of time, it's he's not doing the wetlands, it's town water being dumped on the property, and it's a safety issue. I wish more people in town would be doing what he's doing.
I won't look.
I have to remember it first. Somebody set us up with this a while back.
Brian, we're gonna be on overtime here pretty soon.
I know.
No, not Brian.
And,
Jim? Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
while you're getting that ready, Murray Clark, Victor Drive.
I remember.
About the, I guess if I'm not on a butter, I'm a butter to the butter. But diagonally across, and the property right now, the area right now we're talking about is being done is in far better shape than it was 6-9 months ago.
I don't know what this is.
If there if there are some technicalities of what should have been looked into or something beforehand, I think common sense should prevail that what has been done hasn't done any harm. It's done a lot of good in the area. And as Calvin said, if more people went ahead and did that, there would be a lot better appearance up there. So I just would urge that, common sense be used if there is, and I don't know if there is any technical violation. But.
I'll try this one. Well, thank you. Actually, is this the, is this
No.
one off the, no, this one might be for the board.
Try it anyway. Should work.
What are we trying to look at here, Mr. Chairman?
All we're trying to do is, there's a photograph that Brian has on this particular machine. This particular machine won't accept him sending in anything. And so what we're trying to do is transfer it with a jump stick so that we can be able to look at it.
Maybe it doesn't exist.
No, I can see it. Is there any storage on it?
Well, there's no question, we know what it looks like. I guess just where's the violation is the issue, if there is one.
I think that's what we're trying to be able to see for the ease of everyone. A photograph makes all the difference in the world, and that's what we're trying to get up so that we can look at it. The other option, if we continue to fail technologically, would be to go out Saturday morning. Are you around Saturday morning?
No, I'm gone this weekend, unfortunately.
Okay. Would you mind if we stood on the street and looked at your property from there?
Oh, you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
Could you restate the complaint so that we might help address them?
I can. We kind of jumped past it because we were trying to get the photograph up. This letter was sent from Brian from our office. It says, Dear Officer Casey, on June 6, 2016, the Ayer
I'm not sure why I'm addressed there, and
No, I'm talking about the complaint that came to you.
I never received a complaint.
Yeah,
No, that came to the board.
Yeah.
What was the nature of the complaint that came to the
Well,
commission?
So I'm going to read the notice of violation, which is addressed to Mr. Casey, and then we can address how we got there.
Okay.
So the way that it works is, let's say that there was no complaint. Let's say that I drove by Mr. Casey's property and I noticed that he was filling a wetland.
Okay.
In that case, we would issue a violation to Mr. Casey, and then so this is that violation. So I'm just going to read the violation, and hopefully everything will become apparent from there.
Okay.
And you'll forgive me, my allergies have been driving me nuts today.
That's why we cut down pine trees.
Too late. On June 6, 2016, the Air Conservation Administrator, Brian Colleran, observed what appeared to be a violation of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act. After introducing myself and asking who the appropriate person was to speak with regarding the work done in and adjacent to the wetland adjacent to your property, you asserted that you had done the work in question and were the appropriate party to speak with. I asked you to explain the reason behind the circumstances observed, and you said that you had cleared away trash and debris that had been on the slope of the wetland. When asked about the soils visible at the time, you asserted that you had simply replaced the soil you removed. Following an attempt on my part to explain the potential consequences of not addressing the perceived violations, you welcomed the opportunity to defend yourself in a legal setting and requested that I vacate your property, which I did. Based on the observations made on 6/2/2016, the Air Conservation Administrator has determined that you and or agents are in violation of Mass Wetland Protection Act, General Law, Section 131, Chapter 131, Section 40, and its regulations. This statute regulates the disturbance of any area within a wetland, pond, river, and or stream resource area, or its associated buffer zone of 100 feet for wetlands, or 200 feet for perennial streams and rivers. So that's the basis of the...
Okay, so your earlier comment of determining whether this is in fact a wetland?
So,
Fail.
okay. So this area here, Brian, while you were, actually, give me that one back, I'll put it in here.
Okay, I'll do it, it's all right. Keep going.
While you were upstairs looking for the jump stick, one of the discussions that we had was how this area had formed in the first place. And between Mr. Moore and Mr. Fay, they were speaking to the storm drain that is in this area. Did you observe the storm drain when you were there?
Yeah, somebody's got a bunch of landscaping on the far side of it. And that's actually another question that I'm gonna pursue at another point, but
I bet that's it right there. But that's the head wall to the culvert.
I'm not sure, but there's one upstream and there's one
I'm
downstream.
standing roughly at a guardrail on the corner of the road.
Right where the guardrail is where the storm drain is.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, it's none of my concern, but to start off with, I don't think you should be bringing his profession into this on the letterhead. I don't think
That's
fair.
why, that was my first concern when you said.
Oh, that's just, I don't know how you're supposed to do that.
Mister is fine, but I don't think you should be
Well,
bringing
I don't
his
know,
profession.
are you still an officer when you're not,
No, sir.
like, on the paper, like, I just don't know,
It's okay, but that's,
My next question was, is it normal to notify the police department of, when there's no incident?
Well, let's start with the beginning.
Unfortunately, Mr. Calderon, he brought my profession into this, and he humiliated me. My bosses are involved in this, and this is my home. This is my place of peace. And my job shouldn't be taken into this.
So I think that the use of term officer instead of Mr. was more just simply because
Well,
it
well,
may have been
that-
the way that you were speaking to each other. I can't speak to that myself. I'm sure Brian can speak at greater length to what you guys discussed when you were on site, but I don't think there was ever any intention of any humiliation.
That was my question. Is it normal to involve the police department?
Well, actually, in the past, Officer Jim Wilson, right? So in the past, when we had issues where we had situations like this in the past, if there was any discourse on the site that gave Becky any concern, she was directed by, it was the chief before, I feel awful, I forgot his name. She was directed by him to go to Officer Wilson. Jim Wilson was the person that we had spoken to most often. And we were directed to go to that officer and let them know, A, that we had the discussion, so that at least we had made sure that the police department was aware prior to somebody potentially, let's say that you filed a complaint and you said, hey, there was a person on my property. At least the police would already know that the person who went there was from the Conservation Commission. So I know that's been part of the protocol that we had described with Brian from the get-go. So when we have a violation and there's an issue, we do notify the police that we had the issue and that we spoke to you on your property.
if I may, it's an alleged violation.
Understandable, but at that moment, the important part is to make sure that everybody's aware that it happened.
Yeah,
It's driving me nuts, I can't remember that
guess,
chief's
Bill,
name.
we can sit back here and throw flies at each other all night long, but it really goes back to, it is our belief that it is not a wetland. It's based on the town putting their water onto the property through the drains upstream, et cetera. So, did he do the right thing? Yes. And I would expect, and I would hope that the board doesn't make a big, huge issue out of this thing that was doing something to beautify the town. Now, should he put a sandbag up? Yeah, okay, shame on him, so he'll do it next time. But let's not beat this thing up.
I think I'd like to go see the area. The area is not identified on the USGS as being an area of a wetland, and it's not identified as having a stream through it.
Correct.
However, it is clear that the stormwater goes through that area, and one of the facts that a lot of folks find unfortunate is that if an area handles stormwater for a period of time, what happens is it attains the qualities of a wetland area. And so over time, a lot of areas that accept drainage off the road,
Understand?
they become wetlands. And so that was one of the things, in fact, Cal discussed that during the hearing. He talked about how the changes in that area had resulted in some of that area being a wetland that wasn't before.
Remember going back up onto 2 Taft Street? It was the same corner of 2
I do.
Taft. It was kind of, and Becky went up there, and you guys determined that it was an intimate stream, and it was not causing the wetland. Basically, it's almost the same thing.
Well, what I'm offering is the best that I can offer.
Sure.
Since we're limited to the photos that we can see, and since we can't share them, and I don't find that to be appropriate, I'm happy to have a walk out there this Saturday morning. I don't have a lot of time, but I would be happy to meet if anyone is able to come. I'm sorry that you're not able to make it, Mr. Casey. But I'd be happy to go out there and take a look at the property and address this at a further meeting. preferably one where we can get the
Plus, it's
technology to
beautifying my
control.
lot, so the more we can do, the
Well, while I'm there, I could probably rake or something, but,
Sure.
um,
that's fine.
so, do you have, are you gonna be gone Saturday morning?
I'll attempt to make myself available.
I didn't know, I can be there early, and first light is about 5:15, so I didn't know if anything worked for you. I'm literally willing to make accommodations to meet you there.
Maybe 6 in the morning.
6 sounds good. If you want to watch
Mr.
people
Chair, I would
squirm, I'm going to
volunteer
ask
my-
folks if they'd like to show up.
Mr. Chair, I would volunteer my time to that effort, because again, from my driveway, you can see everything you need to see to formulate an opinion on the matter.
Be happy to see you there, Mr. Fay.
Appreciate your extra help, Bill.
Well, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. It is always disappointing from the roadway to see when there are loose soils going into a wetland area, and that's one of the concerns that Brian was addressing. And so I'd really like to take a better look at the area and have a better understanding of what we're talking about.
I agree with you, but just for my own edification, if you take other people's lawns that are on the other streets, that are going into those manholes, their problem becomes mine.
Yes,
So, the town doesn't have permission to put that water onto my property. So,
Well-
that's a whole different issue.
it's a very different issue.
But should I take the punishment for what everybody else is doing upstream?
What specific punishment are you taking?
Putting new soils, as you just stated, onto that property?
Well, so let's talk about what we mean here. So if an area is a wetland or is a protected resource area, then it's a protected resource area, whether it was established because the town let all the water end up there in the
Right.
first place or not. So whether there's a historical factor or there isn't a historical factor, if it's a wetland today, it's a wetland today. So
Plug up the pipes and it won't be in a couple of years.
you could certainly do that, but unfortunately you'd be plugging up pipes in a wetland now. So
Oh, my good lord.
that's why I'm thinking of you, Ken. All right, 6 o'clock, you don't have to make me coffee. We'll meet right there at the street. And certainly, Mr. Fay, Mr. Moore, if you're interested, you're welcome to come meet us.
That's AM, right?
AM. Like you're not an early riser.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
So, just so we tie this all up, so this is not the end of the action, so we'll meet on Saturday morning, and then we'll schedule another conversation during our next meeting, which is on the 23rd, to go over what we learned from our sidewalk.
Right.
And just for the sake of thoroughness, I did send that letter certified mail.
Okay.
And on the back of the enforcement order, I believe I wrote the number down, and I put that in the mail on, I want to say Thursday, it might have been Friday, but it hasn't shown up back in my inbox, and I've got the green card nor the mail itself.
Oh, I gotcha.
So
Okay.
I don't know if the postman just hasn't seen it yet, and he's just carrying it around for the last 4 days.
All right. Have you seen the letter?
No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. All right. I look forward to seeing you 6 o'clock on Saturday morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to pass that down so I don't lose it on you, Brian.
You can hold that.
Yeah, you sure? I don't have any problem keeping it. I just don't want to lose it on you.
I don't think there's anything in there I don't have electronically anyway. The only thing you might, no, I sent him the original signature, so that's a photocopy.
There's an original in here.
There's two actually there, because I changed the enforcement orders and all the other paperwork, so your printed names are next to signature lines.
Okay.
So, yeah, that one on the signature line, your name is printed.
All right.
And apparently I need to take a clinic on using this, because that would have simplified things quite a bit.
Well, I can't imagine it's that hard. So what, would it not let you open that jump stick because it had a password on it, or it just wouldn't let you open any jump stick?
No, it's a password thing. Cindy got one for everybody, and the idea is that for people who are using sensitive information of town residents, that nothing could get snuck off of the stick while you weren't looking. But I don't use it. And so I promptly forgot my password. And I was hoping it was one of like the usual half dozen, and it wasn't working. But I thought it was networked. And if it is, I can't find my way in on this particular menu. Which is unfortunate.
Let's jump back. So our 8:45 enforcement policy update
Did anybody do
seems
their
relevant. Look at that.
Well, now it's very relevant because if there's any enforcement actions and we wish to take them, we ought to have.
No, I didn't have to add any more comments because I commented on this.
Yes, you did a very good job. And now we have one more contribution.
All right. Can I start with yours?
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So if everyone would turn to the third page where it says protection bylaw. George indicated he thought that it should say enforcement shall be in accordance with 310 CMR 10 with the following process. If at any point additional enforcement action must be taken, the second process may skip. So I agree, additional instead of second. The idea being that second implies there's only two, and additional implies from two on. George noted informal enforcement, minor infractions. So, do you want to change the title?
Yeah.
I see. So George is saying on page 3, instead of informal enforcement, it would say minor infractions.
Or I could say both.
With a slash.
Parentheses.
Fair enough. Under formal enforcement, George crossed off number 2 and wrote number 1. If there is an inadequate response, serious infractions or inadequate response, to any of the above actions. So he didn't even put within 10 calendar days. He eliminated the time frame. If there is an inadequate response to any of the above actions, or if the severity of the violation warrants an enforcement order, will be sent via certified mail. I think that's good. I don't know what the 10 days does other than buy them 10 days of not having to answer it.
It puts a deadline on it.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with George. It's if there's no response, just period. So maybe we are forced to put a time on that because you can't say, well, it's been 20 minutes.
Give a deadline when we give them the first enforcement. We may say, by tomorrow you have to do this.
I like that. So if there's no response, maybe change it to within the prescribed deadline, or if there's no response within the prescribed time frame on the order.
Yeah.
So the order will have the prescribed.
Right, and it could just say 10 days on it as a standard, and if we show up and it's a disaster, we cross the 10 days off and we put 24 hours.
Yeah.
You want to just scratch that in, and I'll use that as the list that, that'll be the master edit for now.
Memorializing. Okay, so minor infractions, I'm just going to change that to capitals so it can be read. No offense. Excuse me. If there is an inadequate response within 10 calendar days and crossed off, so instead of within 10 calendar days, we're saying within the time frame described in the order?
The notice.
Within the time frame described in the notice?
This is the old one.
Okay.
I don't have the new one.
If,
Forgot to print it out.
if there's an inadequate response within the time frame described in the notice to any of the above actions, or if the severity of the violation warrants an enforcement order, blah, 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 will be sent via certified mail. Perfect. Number 2, when an enforcement order is ignored, violated, or otherwise found to be an insufficient solution, fines may be assessed at a rate of $300 per day. The fines, by vote of the commission, okay? So did you want to change it to the citation will be? You know, give me 2 seconds. Can't shake it.
1, 2, time's up.
And just in case you were wondering, the way the $300 is written in the language, it just says it shall be or it is. It doesn't say up to.
Okay.
So, you know, if you were say to, in this case, Mr. Casey, you know, we would backtrack to, last Thursday, I think it was. You know, you'd have to forgive a day at a time. So we couldn't just go, oh, 2,000 is too much, let's do it $1,000. It'd have to be, you know, a round number of threes.
So, yeah, fines may be assessed by vote of the commission at the rate of, and then, I have one here. Yeah, are we issuing fines in a ticket, or are we issuing a citation? Specifies a fine.
Oh, I'm double speaking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. How does that work?
Let's turn to our native grammatician. How's my double speak?
Well, let's make it the easiest way. What do the ticket books say? Do they say they are tickets, or do they say they are citations?
The way that the language is written that I'm working from refers to citation shall be issued in the form of a ticket. So I think a citation is a legal term for fiscal punishment, and then the ticket is the delivery method. Does that distinguish?
I was thinking the citation is in the form of a ticket, but then they're gonna have to come to us, and then we'll say, okay, the fine is this much.
Oh, the ticket will have the fine on it.
Right, but
Right.
that's not the final word, though. We would have to have some final approval that the ticket issued.
So what the commission will be doing is voting on issuing the ticket.
Yeah, ratifying.
Yeah. Because the way the bylaw, or sorry, the way L3 is written right now, it refers to the commission as a body.
Yeah.
And while council is fine saying that any one of you may represent the body individually, your own opinions from prior meetings was that you don't want to be acting on something like this individually.
Right.
So that's where, yeah.
Well, then this will be fun. The full definition, according to Merriam-Webster, we're going to argue over which one. The full definition says, an official summons to appear as before a court. So the citation is merely a delivery system. It's the official order to appear before a court of law. So that doesn't make it any more tricky, seeing as how we're not a court of law.
We do have the power of law. We could be in a small C court. Maybe we are.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's a reach.
Can we maybe make it a little more simplistic? Just say, violations of the Ayer wetlands bylaw are punishable by fines of up to $300 per day per violation. The commission may choose to issue a warning in lieu of a fine for first-time offenders, and then basically have civil litigation defining.
Well, interestingly, a ticket is a certificate or warrant.
Really?
Can't make this stuff up. I mean, I could.
I thought it was basically a bill. It's a warrant.
A document or
Legal.
something.
Yeah.
Legal.
You just went off my cliff. Well, how's this? When you guys come up with your feelings, this is got to go to town council anyway. And so these finer points of legalese that I definitely am not qualified to do, theoretically, they will address.
Well, so let's start over. Where did the language come from?
I stole it from handbooks.
Okay. Perfectly acceptable way to get started. Right up until the part where a ticket is a summons or warning issued to a traffic law violator. So we're all over the place on tickets and citations.
Right, but the ticketing method is noted in the first 2 pages where we go through the state laws and the bylaws and such. And, in section 40, this, that, and the other thing, the powers granted to towns. Ticketing is the legal method by which this sort of thing gets done. So whatever Mr. Webster says, Mr. Governor decided otherwise, and Mr. Governor gets more of a say-so.
The commission may adopt rules and regulations governing the use, prescribe penalties not exceeding a fine of $100.
That's for conservation.
I'm just working my way down. Waiting for anything that puts me in the specific penalty, should be $300. Fine may be imposed for each violation. So in every place they mention the $300 as a penalty or a fine, but they don't mention how we give it to somebody.
Okay, so that means I left it out. Do you want me to put that part in?
Well, it seems like it's pretty crucial because, I mean, don't get me wrong, we could send it just this way to Coltman and Page and let them hash it out. I'm frightened by what that would mean, but
That's cool.
what we're trying to get across is that a fine may be assessed at a rate of $300 per day per violation, and if all we said was that the fines would be issued by vote of the commission, we could leave it at that, and then if someone issued a ticket or wrote, you are fine, you are summoned to appear before us. I guess actually, so what is the point of the ticket again? If they have to appear before us anyway, for a vote of the commission to,
The ticket is a counter because you're at $300 per day per violation, and essentially each ticket represents the
A
one
maximum
day,
fine of
one
$300.
violation.
I got it.
So you gotta go out there every day writing your ticket.
Right. Well, no, you can backtrack once it's established. So in this case, I've got photo evidence with the date on it, and so he hasn't done anything since then. And you can fine $300 a day up to the point when you come to a decision on what to do.
So if I was there on Monday and I turned back on Friday and I wrote a ticket on Monday, can I write a ticket on Friday for $1,200?
Wait, stop what?
So I show up on
Too
Monday.
fast.
I show up on Monday,
Yes.
and there's been a violation, and he's made a mess.
Right.
And I tell him, I'm giving you a ticket. You're gonna have to appear before the Conservation Commission. You need to clean this up right away.
Right. So $300 here.
$300 was Monday.
Good.
I leave.
Right.
I come back on Friday
Right.
with all hopes that he's done something, and in fact, it's the same or worse.
Right.
Can I write him a ticket at that point for $1,200?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, you can write 4 tickets for $300 each. I don't know that really. I'm just saying. But yeah,
This seems to be the crux of the issue.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
so then we want specific language addressing.
We would need a specific paragraph that addressed exactly how this occurred. How did the fines get passed out? How did the tickets, how was the ticket done? Is the ticket a minimum of $300? Is the ticket a maximum of $300, or can the ticket be $1,200 for 4 days? So at this point, under number 2, we need the how. I totally agree with, excuse me. I totally agree with George's statement, $300 per day per violation to be issued by vote of the commission. Okay, and then you just changed number 4 to number 3.
Yeah, I would just go to number 1 under formal.
I agree. All right. Jess, what did you have?
I'm just looking at my notes from something. Oh, I'm looking at notes from MACC on
Gotcha. Do you feel comfortable with this document?
so far.
Okay. Takashi?
I haven't looked at it closely enough to say. Since the last time, you know,
Well, the one thing that always catches my eye is that the font is smaller on G and F than it is on 1A, B, C, which
Yeah, I don't know what's
Yeah.
up with that.
Yeah.
does drive me nuts.
I
gotta
had some
retype it.
formatting problems, but the font should all be the same, and I can't figure out why it seems to shift.
Sometimes it doesn't let
Or
us
why
change it.
everything gets bigger and then it gets smaller at the bottom, like it's going into the distance.
Yeah, I wasn't auditioning for Star Wars or anything.
I was just gonna say. It's still,
I do agree with George that
Mhm.
when you put it in writing, it's no longer informal. So,
Absolutely. Ms. Tillotson?
And the only thing I, based on the MACC sort of guidelines and help that we got is trying to make it more informal, right? The informal enforcement is more, like it was pretty obvious that people need to be educated, right? And not right off issuing, a $300 ticket, right? It's more educational, it's more, come on, let's talk about it. Let's tell you why, the wetlands shouldn't be filled. And hopefully people will come around and they'll understand, the rationale behind the rules that,
And that generally works.
and it
I've
generally,
had several
right.
experiences this week
Yeah.
to that effect.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it generally does. And, another part of it is to explain to somebody why that wetland is important to them. We've had lots of places where the wetland really isn't much different than where their house is. And a perfect example was the lady who came in with the issue on Nonaquatius Brook, who can tell, standing in her driveway, that if she can see the water over the bank, that her basement's going to get wet in the spring. And if she can't see the water in the bank, it means that someone's destroyed the beaver dam down below, and her basement won't get wet in the spring. So there are people who are paying attention, and there are people who aren't paying attention. And we need to help those people who didn't understand what the benefit of that resource area was.
Right.
And I think that is the first thing to do.
Right.
I think that probably one of the key things that we have to do is establish as a commission that the fines really have to come after the second
Right.
violation.
Right.
The fine is you had to mean it.
Right, right.
Simply because what I think you may have even seen tonight was a group of people who came together based on the fact that they were probably concerned about the document that the gentleman received, and they were concerned
He
about.
didn't receive it yet. Although, to be fair, he did say he wouldn't take it if I sent him one. And so that sending him one was a little bit of a dare on my half.
Well, no, it was appropriate to send it to him.
It's the right way to do it, but I'm sorry, I'm getting personal. I need to back up.
The long story short is that there are often strong feelings that come up during these meetings. And in fact, the reason that Becky called me that day to go out there, it was like 2007. It was like the first site visit she'd ever had, and the guy was mad. I'm telling you, it was directly across the street from where this is, and the guy cut down all the pine trees. Oh, you would have been pissed. And the guy cut down all the pine trees into the area. I mean, every one of them. And when we got there, he said, oh yeah, they were dropping the needles on my cars, just like that. And, he talked about what a mess the trees are making. And so what we had said at the time was, really, if you're going to do any work in this area, you really need to get in touch with us. But just like on the other side of the road, it was a storm drain. It was a storm drain, and it was the water that came off the street, and it collected on the two sides. And I don't know, without having used an auger, if I would define it as a wetland resource area, but it certainly has an importance. And so we talked to him about not putting the chips or the brush into the area, and told him what it did and how it kept his basement dry. That was probably as far as we were going to get with that gentleman that day. But the trees were already down. There wasn't anything more to do about it. And quite frankly, my personal opinion was if any of them had been leaning toward his house, we probably would have told him to cut them down anyway. So I didn't find it to be that gigantic. But it is important to meet with somebody and make sure that they understand what the rules are and what they need to do and why it is or is not a good idea to do what they're doing, and at least start from there. And if they continue to do it, then yeah, then the fine gets the point across in a way that being slapped on the wrist twice doesn't. But to me, that has to be that's got to be the primary criteria of all action that we take when it comes to any kind of fines. It has to be a repeat offender. If we have somebody who's so egregious that we feel like we should fine them on the first time, then actually we're probably turning it over to the state anyway, where they can do real damage.
How do you mean?
So, are you familiar with where the train crossing is over by, used to be Martinborough, what is it now, Bacon Joy or something?
Yeah, Bacon Joy.
Bacon Joy.
Yeah,
I drive by it literally every day.
yeah.
If you were to cross over the train tracks and head toward the Willows, apparently there was a water main break there today. If you were to cross over the train tracks, on your right, if you're headed toward the Willows, on your right, there's an area up there, and it was Liberty Tire Processing, and it used to be Ruthier. And JP Ruthier had, for years and years and years, chopped up tires up on the top, and they had flowed down through the system that he had and dumped all down into the wetland. And basically, I mean, the tire chips, you were with us then, weren't you?
And this is different from the area where they cleaned up the tire tracks this March.
Correct. This is the actual wetland area, and it was
Okay.
full of tire chips. And it was everywhere. When we saw it, we knew that we didn't have the ability to chase down Mr. Ruthier and get him to clean it all up and force him to do what he was supposed to do. So we went to Joe Bellino, and Joe got involved, and I don't know if Ruthier ever got a fine out of it. He tried everything. In fact, we heard from Joe Bellino, he tried calling Senators Kerry and Kennedy at the time. No kidding. Because he was big as a player in the people who were recycling tires to do pavement. Unfortunately, an experiment that didn't work. Anyway, the long story short is that it was such a mess and such a big deal that we turned it over to the state, because the state has the resources to chase somebody like that down and make them fix it. When we had issues at the Willows, when we had issues at Pingree Hill, we took the first steps to tell them how disappointed we were in them and how it couldn't continue. And when it continued, we turned it over to the state. And the state forced them to bring in Deshang Wang in both cases. Well, forced Deshang on the Willows, and I think it was more recommendation than anything at Pingree Hill. But forced them to bring in people who told them what they were supposed to do and made them do it.
Sorry, I misinterpreted what you said, because, the bottom of the enforcement order, it says, the state stays out of this. If you want to appeal, it goes to Superior Court. So that's where I was thinking about,
I gotcha. No, in our case, the best thing so unless we had someone who was around all day to chase these people down and force this to happen, and we had stronger bylaws than we have, the best thing for us to do for a truly critical violator is to turn them over to DEP, who takes it so far very seriously. We haven't had a single one where anybody at DEP was like, we'll get back to you. No, they were all over it right off the bat. Even your Elizabeth Estates. Joe Bellino came right out there, told them we had a problem. Joe Bellino showed up.
Yeah, there's still problems, but I can tell you about that when we get to the updates part of the meeting.
But the long story short is that we've gotten great representation by the state that way. So I'm very comfortable if we use the expression that enforcement be in accordance with 310 CMR. If at any point additional enforcement action must be taken. I love this. So instead of second enforcement action, second process, additional enforcement action, the following processes. Following processes means skip the actions taken during the first enforcement process. Perfect. Okay. Anything else? All right. It's 10:05, and as much as I love spending time with you folks, I don't think we had any more comments on here.
I have one outstanding question, because
Like a
I
farmer in
use
his
that
field?
term breach of contract for the line item violations in the order of conditions.
We do?
Yeah, it's one of the listed Are you guys using the old ones?
We're not using any of them right now. Which one says breach of contract?
This is an old one. I don't have the new one.
Oh. Anyway, so I
Do we have
added,
boilerplate in here?
no.
Okay.
So I sent to you a new one, and I think I gave it to you at the last meeting.
Might be fun to do, by the way. If you gave it to me at the last meeting, it's sitting on the kitchen table.
Fair enough. So I introduced language to deal with some of these one-off violations where, you know, they ignored order 51 or condition 50, you know, the condition 51.
Oh, that's right. I remember this.
Yeah, and so I put together some language. I sent that off to MACC to have them, you know, double check the legalese because I didn't trust our.
And you shouldn't.
Yeah. So when that comes back, there'll be some. That piece will be added. That's the one piece that I'm questioning. I'm trying to get right so that it's, you know, defensible.
That's what matters. Because you can see there will be strong feelings no matter what happens. So.
Mm-hmm. No, that happened already. That was how
But
we
what
started this.
So what I mean is, it's crucial that every one of these situations goes down a path that is a known path, and that's key.
Right. Right.
Okay, I'm passing this down
All
so
right,
that
so
you may have the
integrate
formal
those.
copy. So hold on, before we do anything. You also sent me this letter from Lisa Gabri.
Which one? Oh, yeah.
General fund, order to assist you managing your remaining funds, enter the journal entry to credit your wage appropriation, 2 more payrolls.
It's a fancy version of what you get most weeks.
All right, so we have $292 left in supplies. We probably spent most of that tonight, right? We were $170 and...
No, because all of those things are guidance. They're not.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just talking line items. So
Yeah.
we're saying we have $7,000 left.
Ish. Yeah.
Okay. And she's not looking for us to restate that we don't want to lose our beaver control money?
Right. She
Okay.
wants to suspend it. She doesn't like having money sitting around too long.
Oh,
Oh, well, that's too bad.
just tears the heart right out of me. Why is it that in town government the idea of saving is antithetical? Anyway, okay. So thank you for the enforcement policy. I think we have some great follow-up notes. Let's do the meeting minutes real quick.
I have actually 2,
Of course.
because we didn't do them last time.
What?
Yeah, I had some comments in the draft you just sent out, just way at the end. There was a little niggle, but if we skip it, then we get back.
Did we hear back at all from that young man, Robert Hood?
Which one's Robert Hood?
He was the young boy who came in with the Eagle Scout
Oh,
project.
no. Haven't heard from her.
14-year-old.
Yeah.
Never heard back.
No, nothing.
Boy, that's a lot. Don't get me wrong, I have a 14-year-old going on 35, but still, that's a lot. Yeah, that's right. This was our first. That was our first meeting.
Technically, this was our 3rd meeting, hearing with Riley.
Yeah, Kyle did that. He just put his fingers up like this.
Right. But nevertheless,
Did we meet with? Oh, that's right. It was Riley Jane we only met with twice. Riley Jane didn't show up the second time.
Yeah, I don't much care for that language that was being thrown around about, like, I wish more people would do that.
We're gonna get to that.
That was bothersome.
Well, remember,
we were looking at one of the primary architects stacking the room that defeated the bylaw back in 2005, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I know.
aesthetics. Okay.
It's Wild Wild West.
So I don't have any comments on the 512 except the spelling of Pritchard, which you corrected in a million places here.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Anybody have any changes for the meeting minutes for May 12th? Motion to approve meeting minutes as wonderfully written with the exception of the Pritchard spelling.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So that's 512. And then, thank you, 526. This is the one that was supposed to go fast. Yeah, so we had Riley Jane, but then we had Rosewood. Yeah, we had a long meeting with Rosewood, didn't we?
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Beth, she gets talked about on the third floor a lot in very rosy tones.
I'm sorry, what?
It's not in the meeting minutes.
No, it's not.
What,
Oh, Beth,
that gets talked about
on the third floor, the new economic development guy, Alan, was exposed to Beth at the planning meeting. And,
Oh, yeah.
And,
I hear she was in rare form. Yeah.
he was very
You're on
impressed.
camera.
I know, that's why I'm bringing it up, you know, so.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Okay, so.
Did you see the section on the appointment of the master plan committee representative?
Yes.
Did you see that?
I accept that.
Enthusiastic.
I received no
Nice.
calls.
Did you see that? Laura?
I did not.
Oh, it's very end, last page, I think.
You might want to
This
check
one?
them, because
Yeah.
I mentioned it to them, but who said that they, you know, gonna follow through appropriately.
Master
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Was it, oh, graciously and enthusiastically.
Yes,
Oh, do it.
I'll do it. No call yet, though,
Make air great
when they're
again.
meeting.
I have no comments on the 526 meeting minutes. Anyone?
Brian had a couple.
No, just one at the end. Sorry, I'm borrowing all this stuff.
Did she say, damn it, I'll do it?
Damn it.
It was. I lost it. It wasn't that big anyway. It's alright.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to approve the meeting minutes of 526 as enthusiastically as Bonnie did?
Hey.
Hey.
Second.
All in favor say, hey.
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 Nice work. Okay, that's meeting minutes. So we don't forget them. Again, thank you for the reminder. Any announcements?
All sorts of things to talk about, unfortunately.
That's all right, you got 20 minutes. Shoot.
So we'll start with the office. If you guys recall, you approved the extra flat file.
We certainly did. Files.
Files. Turns out we can't do it. The bottom file, the bottom 5, it's not structurally able to take another set on top.
This feels better because I asked that question, so that feels good.
The floor would have been fine, but
Yeah, you couldn't put a new one on the bottom and put that one on the top.
same thing. They're all, you know, if they're all the same, they're rated to, you know,
Okay.
600 or 700 pounds, and then that each one is 250, and then each drawer is actually rated to 40 pounds.
Got it.
So theoretically, you know, 5 times 4, you've got 200 plus 250, you bring 500 pounds nearly, and it'll squash.
Flat files will get flat.
Bingo. So unfortunately, the discussion about having an organized office is gonna
Is out the window.
Well, it's gonna be longer and more involved, and it may not get done while any of us are in our positions. But you know, we'll see if.
And he means vertical.
So that's going on, and so between that and this, you know, that opened up a bunch of money basically that had been spent. Like, well, there's lots of other stuff we could use this money for. So, for instance, part of the problem that occurred with Mr. Casey was that I didn't have any ID, and Robert and the police chief are, you know, much more aware of this because, as you heard, you know, it's Officer Casey, and so I found a company in Georgia that will embroider hats with logo ComCom. There's a minimum order of 12.
Are they camouflage?
No, they're tan. Earth colors.
guess.
So that'd be like 250, but then everybody could have two. Theoretically, you could lose one and then still do one upstairs for you.
Did you check with the folks right on Main Street?
No, because I just haven't. I went Googling.
You think they would do something similar?
So should,
They would do like a screen print thing.
What was that Eartha word for?
Embroidered me over in Chelmsford.
Well, I would start with J
He
and S.
doesn't
They're
own it
Right, they're right
a
there.
few steps away.
You mean Miska?
so that's good as a badge?
He owned a franchise.
Well, no, it's a
that's
start.
the
It's just,
pizza
you've got the
thing
logo on your head,
on the street a few months ago.
and it's something to start with.
Sort of back.
But yeah, I'll talk to them too. But to do the minimum order, to do the embroidery,
Company's still there, right?
Yeah.
it's like $250 for a
And
dozen
that's my
hats.
favorite coffee shop.
I also talked to Cindy about potentially getting a field computer. And like to get an OtterBox around a iPad, so that you can go out in the field and take a picture and fill out the form and maybe GPS something. Rounding everything up, that would be like $750. But rounding up realistically is probably more like $550, but we just added numbers. So there's that.
So
going on.
how much more time do we have to put all this together to sign off on it?
Exactly, the next meeting.
Okay. I'm in favor of the computer for the field. That makes sense to me. Although I do have to warn you that you will get all the scorn you can possibly handle from everyone who sees you take pictures with a tablet. Apparently it's a big thing.
It does make you look about 93.
Yeah.
Um,
The kids will laugh at you.
it also raises something that I also was trying to explore ideas of, is whether or not there'd be like a cruiser forestry vest that then could be upstairs again with logos. But I didn't get very far on that. The $750 plus gear includes $40 a month. Self-service is required, and that's how much the running charges would be, which is a bit ridiculous. But it's not just $750 and buy it. If you want to do any GPS work, if you want to do any geolocating. Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about that. So what we're effectively buying is, you said it's $40 a month, so $500 a year to own a tablet.
With the satellite connection, yeah. If we ex-nay the satellite if we took off that feature, but then you also reduce that particular versatility. And granted, I'm not, if this position stays part-time, that's not really an issue. And most of the time, that's not something that, this body does. It's usually something that is brought to this body where the lines are.
Well, and the other part of it is too, is that one of the problems that comes when you make that decision is that it's not always accurate.
Actually, they're pretty good.
Pretty good is within 12 feet.
Yeah.
So
No,
At that
they're
point-
sub-meter.
at that point, you might as well just put the address. So I'm reluctant to get into anything that costs $500 a year until we have a better handle on the position hours itself.
Right.
So,
But, and unfortunately, it's, the fiscal year ends and the money goes back, and anyway, all that.
I do, but then we have to ask next year to put $500 in as a line item to pay for it. And that's a discussion that's not as much fun as you might think.
Right. Speaking of which, I had a talk with Robert about the personnel board, and the personnel board is for non-union positions. The selectmen is for union positions.
Interesting.
And, I explained to him, I was like, yeah, I'm in a spot, it may not work out, and Jess won't do that again. So, and he was like, oh, I see where you're going with that, yeah.
No, it's always good to lead with a stick.
I was happy to provide that one.
Text him about the carrot.
Just as a stick.
I would, I welcome that news, that's for sure. That's a whole lot better than what I was anticipating.
Yeah.
So I left a message for him. Jess reminded me, and I called and left a message through Carly. But if we don't have to go to the personnel board, then we just need to get on the Board of Selectmen meeting, on their next meeting.
Yeah. So, that is what it is. And
Well, then why don't you tomorrow
You can say that.
Hmm?
You can say that
I
tomorrow.
know.
It's kind of fun.
But are you saying you want him to get us on the agenda?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You go ahead and get us on the agenda
Oh.
tomorrow.
Done. All right.
Go ahead and, because my experience,
Who's us? Just you, Jess, and you.
all you have to do is say is the Conservation Commission, and then whoever can make it will make it. Takashi usually bags out on those things, but he'll come this time.
Sometimes meet on Tuesday.
All right.
Yes.
So that, while you're at it, you might want to bring up the $500 a month question. Because then if, you send me an email, that has to be purchased through Cindy. So,
I don't have any problem with that. All we're doing is guaranteeing ourselves a future bill for a piece of equipment that already has the gear, already has the information loaded into it, or has the software loaded into it, rather.
right.
So you're saying we should go ahead and get the tablet?
Yeah, I
And
would
then worry
absolutely get the
about-
tablet.
Worry about.
Worry about turning it on later.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. I got the EMAC electronic handbook. It came free with my certification.
Woo!
I got my stupid thing I can't remember. The MACC for Conservation Commissioners, I hear, base course.
Oh, nice.
So you should take it. It's good.
Okay.
But it came with a free year subscription.
Oh, cool.
So,
So does our commission membership.
Through our dues.
yeah, I'm bouncing off that a little bit. I haven't brought myself to say, guys, we should have one for free. And
Feel free to write to.
Well, we should.
Feel free to write to that lady over there.
Lindsay.
Was it
Yeah.
Martucci?
Yeah.
well, it's not an issue for at least a year.
No.
All right, there's all that. Like you guys picked up Tim Chori, and that walk was brilliant. That was a great day.
I'm super glad you were able to get that together.
Yeah, that was a master class. It was brilliant.
I do love the fact that the representative stream crossing got slightly adjusted larger and based on the first hearing, stream crossing standards did apply. It wasn't no longer a stream. So,
Just because there were beavers.
yeah.
All right, so I think at this point the only thing to bring up is my the bomb I'm throwing into this conservation restriction. So
Ranger.
yeah,
Sandy Pond 3.
yeah. So Exhibit A, bounding everything. You get to the intersection of Lot 3, thence continuing northwesterly a distance of 150 feet to a point at the intersection of Lot 4. So, from point there to point there is relatively short, it's 150 feet. And in the various paperwork associated with titles, the quitclaim deed references 160 feet from the rear lot line of the lot. So, I went out and on lot 4 measured where 160 feet gets me. And you can see the end of the measuring tape. It's under the deck.
Sure.
So they didn't do this. I went out to talk to them about the woods in the back that you can see and how open it is, and sort of work through that before going out and doing the baseline.
So what we're saying is that they weren't supposed to touch an area they've cleared and have as a lawn.
Right. They, however, are the builders.
Oh, I know who it was done.
Right. And so at this
Well, think
point-
about it. Can you imagine if the trees came up that close to the back of the house?
Right. So, at this point, the thing was screwed from the beginning. It's currently unenforceable, and it wasn't signed anyway, the actual conservation easement, but in the quitclaim, the quitclaim, and then there's also another reference to the easement in the Declaration of Easements, Restrictions, and Covenants, and that references the original 100-foot easement for that project.
Is there a drawing that ties this together?
Yep.
Does it show house lots in it?
Yeah, those are the numbers of the address of each lot.
So what we're saying is that this house in 31 is
Right in the middle of
effectively
the
back
3.
here?
Yeah, the middle of the 3 lines up with the boundary of the easement.
Gotcha. And that's where it was supposed to be? And now it isn't.
And it's been that way for,
It was one of the first houses they built.
what, 12 years? So like, in a manner of speaking, nobody's actually looked at the
Yeah.
number and run the tape. And so I wrote Amanda and another person she works with, whose name I'm slipping, Nick maybe, and basically said, this is beyond me to repair. I can't go do this baseline documentation in support.
You can't do this baseline documentation without showing that they failed, and I'm documenting it.
Yeah, like, you know, and talking to the homeowner, both her and her neighbor. Her neighbor, the 160 feet, was about halfway into their yard. Doesn't make it as far as the house, but it's half of their yard. Nobody has ever told them like where the easement is, so they've all left the trees the way they were when they found them, more or less. And the line of trees matches the shape. That's got that little ebb and flow to the edge of the easement.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got the ebb and flow on the ground too.
Okay, so the long and short of it is,
It has
we need
this-
to hear back from Amanda to find out what to do about the fact that it's not built the way it was supposed to be built.
Yeah, not only is it a start over, more or less, but everybody involved in it arguably would be at fault. Because nobody looked at it.
Well, you know, it's interesting. We went out there for the fence and the culvert. We went out there for all the important parts that they did up front.
Oh, I heard stories about the fences too, and the fence is killing baby turtles.
And we heard the same thing, except that they were told to put it there by Division of Fish and Wildlife, Endangered Species.
Yeah, they're killing babies.
How does that make sense?
The homeowner at 31 says that during hatching season, they go out with buckets and they pick them up, fill up the buckets, and walk them down to the pond.
Well, that's
Okay,
good.
yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
It's just transportation.
I mean, it's nice of them, obviously, but
It's killing them, they can't get through?
they can't get through the turtle fence, and the turtle fence is at the bottom of an incline, so it's just steep enough that it's too much trouble for them to climb back up. And so the adults are funneled into the underpass, but once the babies hatch, they don't go for the underpass.
This is what I love, where make regulations that ultimately don't make sense.
Well, but it also makes
Yeah.
sense in that they probably didn't want the turtles crossing the busy neighborhood road
Well,
so that
just-
there weren't piles of dead
Right.
turtles.
Well,
But they
just kill them
fenced
here.
one
Kill
side
Kill them over
of the road,
there, not
the
over
other.
there. It'll show. Okay,
Yeah.
so bouncing back, we need to hear from Amanda, and we need to talk to somebody about the fence. That seems like an Amanda thing as well.
Yeah.
Okay, next update, 1 minute.
Have you heard from Mike Callahan?
No, I have not. Which is, you know, a little annoying, but this is his high season. Really, that's about it. You know, other than that, I was just gonna, you know, complain about how apparently, like, this was a good week to be in a lot. The last 2 weeks, yeah, this got out of hand.
I think you'll find that, I can't remember whose axiom it is that work expands to fill the space. I can't remember who that was. Anyway,
Springtime basically brings on people doing a lot of work around their houses, in their yards, in their
Well, and
backyards.
that's why I ended up seeing this, the one that was in tonight. I went out and visited one of his neighbors who's on a stream also that isn't mapped. There's at least two wetland systems running through that neighborhood, and he wanted to do things right, and he had a bunch of violations. So I was like, all right, that's not gonna fly, that's not gonna fly. He goes, oh, okay, no big deal. You know, to do what I want to do, can I clean this up? And you know, we had a nice educational chat, and I was like high on doing exactly what I was supposed to do, how I was supposed to do it, and then I just drove into that, and I was like, damn it, you know. Actually, while you're out there, that corner, he's on the outside, but the inside corner, I don't like the look of that either, and that might be another issue. to
we're
follow.
gonna look at everything when we're out there.
Yeah.
All right,
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
6 a.m., come on out.
That's
With
a big move.
coffee.
Well done.
With coffee.
All right, CPC,
We met, but nothing big went up.
no stormwater, no greenway. Open space and recreation plan?
That's me.
Oh, yeah, right, sorry.
We did meet a couple weeks ago. We're continuing the editing process and meeting again on the 21st.
Oh, did you meet Alan yet?
Alan Minute. he called the other day and he thought I was the chair of CPC, and I said, no, but I'm the next best person. So I contacted Jim again. So he's going to be on the CPC agenda in our next meeting. in July.
Excellent. Master plan.
I have no one's called.
Nobody has called for you to say,
I'll do it. No one's called and asked any,
All right.
no requests.
10:31, Jess?
no?
George? Takashi? Ms. Tillotson?
Just one, I had a nice chat with the owner, well, not the owner, the person, so 41 Groton Harvard Road, the
Cool.
pool, and the cool heating system. So he was, because I live on the other side.
The cool heating system, that house we went to,
Yes, right,
they had a pool?
inside,
Oh, inside
indoor.
pool. Indoor pool, yeah.
Oh, funny. Library talk too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he had been
You asked me
using
to
a
be quiet.
blower and basically blowing everything off the back lawn into the pond. And you know, visually you could see it just all going into the pond. So I had a little walk over and he was done with blowing and I went down and I said, I knocked on the door and nobody was home, and I said, I hope I'm not, bothering you, and I said, I just want, to introduce myself again. And he's like, yeah, I remember you. And I just said, you might, so I just had a very nice conversation, told him that you might not want to do this, it was in violation of the wetland bylaw, and he's like, well, can I clean it up? I'm like, yeah, you can clean it up. So he was actually cleaning it up the day after.
Cool.
So it was a very,
There you go.
and he was very receptive.
Wasn't she supposed to redraw that and come back to us or something?
Yeah, but she was gonna. I think she had to do an RDA at least, or a notice of intent. She never did come back.
Yeah, she never came back.
No,
Yep.
might want to follow up, because the straw, bale, straw.
Yeah.
The wattle.
The wattle, thank you, is still there.
Well, it needs to be there considering how much was going to run down if it isn't. So.
Right.
Okay. So we've covered everyone, covered all our members. Citizen concerns?
We forgot the
Library talk?
conversation.
Oh, library.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've got a bunch of money. Do you want to buy some books? I don't know.
I think it's a great idea.
start the educational process.
It's always a good idea to have tomes in the office.
The other idea actually literally was a library thing to cross-reference. Like maybe buy 1 or 2 or 3 of each and share with those guys.
Because what we could do is, could be, conversations like, hey, if you are interested in planting around your wetland, there are great books over at the library in a certain section.
Go see the conservation section at the library.
Yeah, go see the, yep, exactly.
Like if
Yeah.
we sponsored a shelf when we with all these funds, we put a dozen things like coffee table style, pretty picture books.
I think MACC has a list, don't they?
Yeah, they've got a couple of good ones.
A great list.
Yeah.
See if they have them first. If there's nothing further,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.